Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, post-fight Sunday edition. This is your host, Mr. BDA, and alongside with me, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Sensational. Before we start, let's give a shout out. Whoopsie daisy. All right. Let's give a shout out to everybody who's given donation tips so far, the Patreon donors. The names just appeared on the screen. Thank you very much, guys. You are what pushes us, everybody, the BDA family forward. Thank you very much. Don't forget that there is a super chat feature, so you can make donation tips. $1 or $2 always helps, or pounds, depending on where you are in the world, euros, whatever. So don't forget, guys. It really helps us out a lot. Keep on doing this show. Give a shout out also to everybody in the chat room already. Subash Kunwar, I should say, the Quags, Akuma's Deception, Champions Killer X, the Quags, I said, Pavel is in there, Champion Killer X, Dopamine, Dino Perxio, CMD Boxing Reports, Cachnello, give me my fight, Dopamine. I hope Cachnello, I hope you come on, because I want to talk about the Ali versus Munguia fight. Pretty interesting fight, man. That's really also give a little bit. I was rewatching the Lomachenko versus Linares fight. Also give her comments on that. Pretty entertaining fight. Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe also to this program. Don't forget, we're broadcasting right now on YouTube. For those of you that are listening on screen, what's it called, Bicho? Spreaker.
Spreaker, yeah.
Spreaker,
and hopefully we're gonna be on iTunes if they accept our crazy fucking show.
That's why I've been trying to be on our best behavior so far, but it ain't easy with some of the degenerates that we have on the show. And listen, I'm not saying they're the only ones that are degenerates, because I'm certainly as guilty or even more guilty than everybody else on this. I can't find the Spreaker page. Bucho, what do you write to find our Spreaker on Google?
Spreaker.com/BDA Boxing.
Spreaker.com/BDA Boxing. So there you go. I'm going to show that page right now. And right now, enough boxing promotion. I'm going to show it later on in the show. But let's get back to the fights. Bucho, did you... Well, actually, I'm going to... Tell me when you're available, and I'll talk with you about the fight. There we have it. Spreaker is on there. So you can download that now. And if you're listening on Spreaker right now, don't forget, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. And should this episode go beyond the time limit allotted by Spreaker, which I don't think it should, because we got to go by 4 o'clock. But if you do miss part of the show, you can always hop on over to YouTube and watch the rest. All right. Fucking Vasyl Lomachenko, man. This guy, everybody thought, and see, I asked the question last night before the fight. I said, are we overrating Lomachenko? Is he really that good? And he looked sensational last night. Don't get me wrong. But like we were talking about after the fight, check out the event last night if you didn't watch it. After the fight, we stayed on for about an hour and we were talking about what we saw. And Lomachenko, we all agreed that Lomachenko did look a little like he didn't hit a wall because he won. And I couldn't give Linares more than 2 rounds. 3 points if you count the knockdown. And that's a big lightweight with fast hand skills and experience. And Lomachenko was really winning every round. Again, I don't know what was up with the official scorecards, because apparently one of them had Linares up or Lomachenko down 1 point, something like, yeah, or even something like that. But, man, let me tell you, Lomachenko, he showed everything, but he had to be at 100% to beat Linares. And I'll tell you something, and I say this all the time, if any of you out there boxes, amateur, professional, whatever, let your hands go. Doesn't matter if you're hitting the target or if you're hitting it cleanly, even if you're hitting gloves or elbows. Most judges, especially if you're fast-handed, all they see is you landing punches on something, and they tend to count that. I don't agree with it. I disagree that a blocked punch should count as something, but you're giving yourself every possibility so that the judges give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's what happened with Linares, I think. I think he was... he was countering with flashy combinations, even though most of them weren't landing. But, and the judges obviously seemed to like it. Now, again, maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they were instructed to do so. to give Lomachenko, Linares every benefit of the doubt. I don't know, but that's what we had. What else did I want to talk about Linares? I tell you, Linares, rewatching the fight, he was shooting that right hand. He was prepared to counter with the right hand. I loved how he was trying to counter with the right uppercut to the body, and right away after that, this is what you always do. After you throw the uppercut, you follow that up with a left hook. That's standard procedure. And Linares certainly was trying to do that. He went to the body, which ain't easy against Lomachenko. I mean, this guy started. He tried to do everything he could, man. Tried to do everything he could as best as he could, and it just wasn't enough. And in the end, Lomachenko caught him with a body shot. And we knew that Linares had endurance issues, right? That's what everybody was assuming, that Lomachenko was going to stop him because Linares tends to break down. He never really fully broke down. His face wasn't as messed up as it was. Lomachenko didn't take him out with one punch to the chin. It was with a precise surgical shot to the body. So very impressive from Lomachenko. Although, as we spoke about last night, some of our panelists reiterated the same thing. He should stay put at lightweight or maybe go down to junior lightweight if he can. But really, that's where he should stay put. He's 5'7", might even be 5'6.5". I don't know. Going up any more weight could be a dangerous thing for him. But then again, you have to wonder. Let's look at the lightweight rankings. I always love watching these rankings. By the way, if you go on over to Ring TV, they finally did a Best I Faced. You know the Best I Faced series that they always do, where they ask retired boxers who their best opponent was, like who had the best jab, who had the best this and that. They did one about Mike Tyson. It's not as long as the others. He doesn't go into full detail, but you'll be surprised by some of the answers. You'll be very surprised. All right, so I'm going to put up the rankings here. So there you get the rankings again. Linares is no longer the champ, according to Ring Magazine. I mean, they still have him, but they're going to update that soon. Mikey Garcia, who will be taking on Robert Easter in June. Or was that July? Let me check out my... I forget, but it's going to be down the line. I think it might even be August. Anyway, Robert Easter and Mikey Garcia are about to fight. Beltran, stay away from Lomachenko, man. Comey, he's fought the best. He always comes up short, but but he's a very tough guy. Crolla, tough, strong as well. Campbell, who gave himself, I mean, he looked good against Linares. He tried. We got Dijan Zlatikanen, very tough guy himself. Kind of like Crolla a little bit. Those two should fight. Ivan Mendy, oh, he's 30-something, so he's got experience, but he's still physically active, so he could. And he beat Luke Campbell a couple of fights ago, so he's good. Javier Fortuna, slick. Well, slick. Slippery southpaw. He's definitely not slick, if you want to go by the definition of slick. He doesn't roll with the shots all that much. It's all head movement. And then you have Antonio Losada Jr. So this is the lightweight division. I think this is where Lomachenko should stay put. Because if you look at where he's officially ranked by Ring TV, at 130, you got Berchelt. Gervonta Davis is going to be a lightweight now. Machado, good fighter. Francisco Vargas, Stephen Farmer, Miguel Roman, Christopher Diaz, Johnny Gonzalez, Jose Corrales. I mean, there's not really a big fight for him here. Whereas at lightweight, as you saw, they have Robert Easter Jr. and Mikey Garcia, the winner of that one. I think he should stay put at lightweight just for that fight. And like Precise said last night, get accustomed to that weight. Because Linares' advantages in terms of strength and all that, like he really seemed to be taking the punch as well from Lomachenko. I want to go back to the chat room just very quickly, see what people are saying. Pavel says Loma's face was pretty clean after the fight. It certainly was. Certainly was. Even though he took a couple of shots, even if you block the shots, remember, if you block a shot but it's close to your face, you could get it scratched. And so it's interesting that Lomachenko looked relatively clean in this one, or after this one. Dopamine says Loma wears damage very well and he gets clean very rarely. Boxing Comments Club says Lomachenko landed a ton of patty cake punches and in my opinion got lucky in the 10th with that body shot. Otherwise he goes to a decision that was favoring Linares. I agree that it was becoming it had been a little tougher fight in the middle rounds. Like Linares started picking it up a little bit, but Lomachenko was going to put it on strong in the last couple. And there's no such thing as a lucky punch in my book. Lomachenko set that up, and I was rewatching the fight, and there was a round, I think it was the third round, where he pity-patted upstairs, and then he dug a left yeah, left uppercut to the body. So he was certainly looking for that one ever since the third round minimum. And so it was no lucky punch. Mr. Coxey says, hey guys, BDA Bucho Pavel, all you guys in the chat, shout out to Mr. Coxey. FNC Bot says, Loma can continue to go up in weight. He was beating Linares up and backing him up for a lot of the fight. That's the thing about Lomachenko, man. He is not a guy that's just going to dance around the ring. He's going to put it on you. He's looking to finish or wear down guys. Loma should now go on the LDBC Boxers Crusade, says Pavel. Mr. Coxey says, are you guys happy with the fight? It was a pretty good fight, man. I liked it. I loved it. It was a skill versus skill, physical talent versus physical talent, hand speed versus hand speed. Linares gave it his all, man. He's got nothing to be ashamed of. And he was correct in his prediction that he wasn't going to quit. He was going to go the distance or he was going to get taken out. Impressively from Lomachenko. Del Boy agrees with me when he says there's no such thing as a lucky punch. And Quack says, especially a lucky body shot. Yeah, there's no such thing as a... Dopamine says Loma would be too small at 140 or so small. Yeah. I mean, I tell you, Linares... But again, I got to emphasize, Linares was letting his hands go. And that always helps out when you're in a fight. Especially if you have quick hands. You let those hands go, those judges and the people, they get the ooh and ah, and that can influence the judges as well. As for Linares, where does he go from here? He's going to be very tough to beat for anybody else, unless they can get one shot on him, which is possible. But Lomachenko, let me tell you something. By the way, Bucho, tell me when you're ready. And
Oh, I am, man.
oh, you're right.
I sent
Okay.
you a message.
Okay. Shit, why doesn't it appear? All right. What were your thoughts on last night's fight? Any comments that we might not have had time to make last night, or?
No. I think, like you said, this is the limit for Lomachenko. 135. I mean, some people are gonna say, well, you know, Lomachenko. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think because my phone froze. Lomachenko. You know, yeah, of course he has power. Look at what look. He just stopped Linares. Yes, but you know that's throughout the whole fight. I don't think he was hurting Linares. I mean, you could tell his punching power is not like it's the limit. 135 is the limit for Lomachenko's power. He goes to 140, he's gonna fight bigger guys, and I don't think it's gonna be troublesome for him. And he's 5'6", by the way. Yeah? He's not 5'7", so.
Yeah, BoxRec, I think they have him as 5'7". And let me tell you, these people exaggerate over at BoxRec. I don't think he's 5'7". Remember, they said that Pacquiao was 5'7" too. He looks like a short. Maybe it's because he's very, because of those legs. You know, he's got disproportionate legs compared to his size. But yeah, BoxRec, they have him as 5'7", Lomachenko, and that's not. We disagree with that.
He by the way, he has to at 135, especially when he's fighting bigger guys now, that can hurt him, as we saw because he got dropped. Lomachenko has to stop clowning around a bit. Like he has to take this a bit more serious. I think he got overconfident, and that's when he got dropped.
Well, the other thing
Aiming
is
straight, stop going through, stop using angles, and just getting straight forward, and fucking got caught, man.
Yeah, I mean that happens. I don't think it was so much that he was playing around as much as he like you said, he got a little overconfident. That's all, you know.
Yeah, because he comes in and out. That's very dangerous, man. And you have to be focused when you do that. I think he just got a bit careless when he came in and got caught coming in. But yeah, I think he learned from that, no.
And I tell you something else. That right hand from Linares. There's a video. I don't know if you guys can fucking find it on YouTube. But I mentioned this during the past month as we spoke about this fight. There's a video there where Linares is sparring. He knocks that guy out cold with a counter right hand. It was a bit like the sequence where Marcus knocked Pacquiao out. That type of knockout. Like he laid the guy out flat in sparring, and that's just the power he has in that right hand. And he timed it to perfection. To perfection. That's what you do against a southpaw. And to Lomachenko's credit, he got up and he continued the next round. He continued coming forward and trying to put it on Linares. The other thing, Bucho, is, you know, we're talking about how Lomachenko looked. He didn't look obvious. He looked good because, again, the rounds were competitive, but he was winning almost every one of them. That being said, how many guys? I'll put up the rankings, the lightweight rankings back up. Like, there's not that many guys that have the skill set and the physical talent that Linares has. I mean, Losada Jr., he's nowhere near as fast as or experienced as Linares. Fortuna, you know, he's up there in terms of hand speed, but he's very sloppy too. Mendy, he's quick, but he's certainly not lightning quick. Ladikanen, he's more of a pressure fighter. Campbell's a good boxer, but again, he's not ultra quick, although he was able to keep up with Linares. Krolla, of course, not as fast. Kami, he's not slow, but again, not lightning quick. Beltran, he's been slowing down. Robert Easter Jr. has good hand speed, but he has to get past Mikey Garcia. So again, like I'm saying, Bucho, do you think like there's nobody as complete as Linares? I don't think so far in this division against Lomachenko.
It's Mikey Garcia.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's Mikey Garcia, but I'm talking about in terms of, because I think that partly the reason why Linares was able to hang in there against Lomachenko was because he had a little bit of everything, you know, the experience, the skills, the hand speed. But let's get right down to what you just mentioned. Mikey Garcia. Again, we spoke a little bit about it last night, but what are your thoughts on Mikey Garcia against Lomachenko?
I think it's a competitive fight. Some people are saying that Lomachenko is just gonna easily outbox Mikey Garcia because he's flat-footed, etc. But I mean, we're talking about it like flat-footed. This is how many good boxers have we had throughout history that were flat-footed or didn't have amazing footwork?
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of overrating now this footwork thing. No, he also have good impressive, flashy footwork, but it doesn't matter, man. He has good timing, and good timing can beat speed, can beat a guy that comes in and out, has a lot of foot movement. So Mikey has a lot of precision. He can also he's good at measuring the distance as well. I like that the fact that he throws a lot of straight punches. I think that's something that can cause trouble. Can cause some trouble for Lomachenko, man. Because, anyways, I'm ranting here, but you get the point.
Yeah, it's a good point that you're making. A good points, rather, that you're making. And as to the flat-footedness, listen, Barrero was a relatively flat-footed guy, and he was able to outbox Hamed. Now, I know Hamed is not Vasyl Lomachenko. I know Nassim Hamed wasn't Lomachenko. But what I'm saying is you don't need to... Like, look at Linares. It's not like he was moving and dancing around the ring. Like, he was standing in front of Lomachenko too, and he was able to keep up with him and cause him some trouble. So you don't have to be fleet-footed to be able to box well. And we were talking, like you mentioned, we were talking about fencing a couple of, I think the last, not the last episode, but the one before that one, we were talking about fencing, and Mikey Garcia is very good at being economical. He parries shots very well. He blocks most of them with his guard. And he's got excellent timing. I would argue better timing than Linares, as well as having better, you know, he punches better with both hands, whereas Linares is more of a one-handed puncher. By the way, I see we have Stu on the line.
I wasn't bad, though.
I told you what's going to happen, the price. I told you he's going to be sleeping. I told you the ambulance is going to come, the oxygen mask is going to come out. I told you he's going to miss the main event. I told you all them things were going to happen because...
We got Stu on the line. Stu, are you there?
What's happening, boys?
Hello, Stu. Glad to have you on board. How are you feeling? Because, I mean, I take it you stayed up maybe to watch the Ali versus Munguia fight.
I didn't, I'm afraid. I fell asleep when the show was still on. And I managed to wake up and turn the hangout off sort of thing in time. just couldn't hold on it. I managed to watch Golovkin fight. I stayed up for that, but just too tired, bro.
No, I get it. Especially you had a cold not that long ago, so...
Yeah, I mean, I feel a bit better today. I mean, I had my boys today as well, so I thought I got to get some sleep. So I went to bed. Who won anyway? I've only just dropped them off, so I've not had time to look at any boxing or anything. Who won?
Munguia won by 4th round knockout. I think it was a 4th or 5th round.
Did he really?
Oh yeah. And let me tell you something. Cachnelo, before he left the hangout last night, he said, "Don't be surprised if Munguia is too strong and stops Ali." And I said, you know what? I agree with you. And then look, lo and behold.
I mean, like everyone's been saying, Munguia is a very strong guy, good puncher. is at 154, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got to see what happened when Jesse Vargas landed on the button of Saddam Ali. I know I keep saying that, but it's just facts. You know, this guy obviously is a bit dodgy around the whiskies. Maybe he's related to Amir Khan. You never know, do you?
Yeah, maybe it's those Middle Eastern genes, man. They don't have good chins. I don't know. But listen, this
we was having a barbecue and we're all talking about boxing, and we've got an Arab friend that comes over, and he was talking to my mate about boxing, and he was asking why there ain't no good Arab fighters around, and my mate just turned around and just said, "Look, mate, just deal with it. You guys are built to be taking punches on the chin," and I think he's right.
I don't know, man. I mean, you know, and I think all the ones with the good chins have been blowing themselves up. I think that's the problem.
Oh.
No, but seriously, I mean,
it still sounds like Angel Garcia with his racist comments. Remember?
Listen,
Pakistanis can fight. Yeah. What was he saying?
Angel Garcia said in the 45 years he's been alive, he's never met a Pakistani that could fight.
Yeah,
that's what he said. And
don't forget, he didn't call them Pakistanis; he called them Pakistanians, which is.
Is what he called them.
Anyway, listen.
I'll tell you what, though. I think he actually got into Amir Khan's head, and Amir Khan fought a silly game plan that night. He stood and traded with Danny Garcia, and he got him knocked out. So Angel Garcia had a big play in that knockout for me. Got in Amir Khan's head.
Right. Yeah, because Garcia was slicing him up. I mean, Khan was slicing him up, but he just kept throwing and throwing and throwing. And Garcia, all he needed was one opening. But by the way,
exactly.
Going back to the Munguia fight, I mentioned last night that I didn't know how good his chin was because so far he'd only fought tomato cans, fighting on Azteca Boxeo and all that. But man, I'm gonna tell you something, Stu. Watch the fight. The guy, first of all, I thought he was 5'11". He's 6 foot tall. 6 feet tall.
Hell.
That's
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
For a Mexican. That's insane. And you watch the fight.
He's got to be the tallest Mexican on the planet, isn't he?
I think so, man. Probably the world record. And
I think he's taller than Cain Velasquez.
No, actually, Cain Velasquez, I think, is 6'1", I think, or 6 foot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But listen, watch the fight. First of all, Munguia, not only does he look taller, he looks bigger as well. Like, there were 3 divisions apart. This guy is the Mexican Jared Hurd, another weight bully hiding over at 154.
I was going to say that 154 division, it's got a lot of weight bullies. I just don't think they fancy that middleweight division with Golovkin sitting on the throne.
Well, you know what? Munguia, who was supposed to fight Triple G, or at least Triple G wanted to fight him, he called Triple G out after the fight, apparently.
Oh, well, fair play to Munguia. I mean, I'm like a lot of you guys, haven't seen a lot of him, so I don't want to be sitting there just knocking the guy or building him up. I just don't know enough about him to start predicting fights with Gennady Golovkin. But like I said, it's a good win. Saddam Ali, 4th round stoppage, good win. But we need to see what he does when he hits someone on the chin that's actually got a chin, and we'll take it from there.
Someone tweeted, Golovkin should have fought Munguia, and Ali should have fought Martirosyan.
That's a fucking good point. That's a fucking good point, man. And I was joking around last night, and I was saying, man, an injured Saddam Ali against a fresh Liam Smith would have been a more competitive fight, because Munguia just looked. You watch the fight, Stu. It just. And you know what was the freakiest thing? The freakiest thing was that Munguia looked like he was 3 divisions apart. He looked about 3 inches, 4 inches taller than Ali, but he has a baby face. So it looks like he's a kid. It looks like he's a kid that suddenly grew about 7 inches in one day. I mean, it was freaky, man. It was freaky. And also, watch out for that left hook to the body from Munguia. Ooh, it's a beauty.
I mean, that Liam Smith fight, I mean, I was actually picking Liam Smith to win that. I don't really rate Liam Smith highly, to be honest with you. I just think his work rate, and I still think he could have probably caught up to Saddam Ali. I just don't rate Saddam Ali. I mean, a lot of you guys might think I'm crazy for thinking Liam Smith can beat Saddam Ali, but Liam Smith has proved that he can hang around at the world level. Look at that. I mean, look, the shots he was taking off Canelo would have fucking knocked out a horse. So, you know, at the end of the day, I can't really knock him for that one, but he usually holds his own. He's not a bad fighter. I just don't see Saddam Ali being that good. I was picking Liam Smith to win that one. But that Munguia is obviously that 154 division is starting to get quite interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I also have to mention something about what's his name, Munguia, which is that he set up his shots well, though. I got to give him, even though he's a weight bully, compared to Jarrett Hurd, because Jarrett Hurd against Lara, he was just walking forward and walking past the shots. Munguia was actually setting up his shots. He was throwing feints. So if we have to give him some credit, it's that he was setting up his shots. Now, as to whether he can beat Golovkin, because some people were mentioning that after the fight. Listen, Golovkin fought bigger guys like Rubio, Martin Murray, Jacobs. They all hit the canvas, and they all, except for Jacobs, he stopped them. So it takes, and Martirosyan too looked a little bigger than Golovkin. It takes more than size. We don't know how Munguia is going to handle the power. He's never been hit with the heavy hands of Golovkin. So let's wait to see Munguia fight somebody a little bigger, somebody that can actually stand up to him.
Jarrett Hurd.
Oh, that would be a very good fight, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting.
Battle of the weight bullies.
Yeah, the battle of the fucking Goliaths. You mentioned Liam Smith. Do you think Liam Smith could have walked Ali down?
I do, but I'm not sure about Liam Smith either. It's a tough one for me. I wouldn't want to put my money on it, that's for sure. I just don't rate Saddam Ali very highly. I know, I think his name's Sunwar in the chat is saying that he thinks Ali would kill Liam Smith, but I'm not sure. Ali hasn't proved anything to me right now that he can hang around. And let's be real, I know he got a win against Cotto, but I mean, the Cotto's got to be a fucking 180, isn't he? He's got to be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's not forget also, Cotto injured his, what was it, left arm or right arm?
Yeah, his right arm, I think.
On one of those arms.
It was all purple or looking like, what the fuck happened to his arm?
Yeah, he tore something. But going back to the Ali, because Stu mentioned, and we were talking about that last night as well, about Ali's chin. My contention is, yeah, he probably does have a subpar chin, but the problem isn't just the chin, it's his defense, right, Bucho? We were talking about it, how this motherfucker fights with his hands down. He backs up with his hands down, which is a big no-no. You would expect better from a guy like him.
Yeah, puts his shoulder, but he doesn't do the shoulder roll, and his reflexes aren't as good as... He's trying to imitate Mayweather sometimes, like with the shoulder defense, but man... I told, by the way, last show I also said, man, these guys are knockout waiting to happen.
Yeah, you did.
We just saw that, man.
By the way, I have a photograph of Munguia.
I think Andrade's the next one. He's going to be the next one to get found out. As soon as he finds someone decent, mate, the same thing's going to happen to him that what happened to Saddam Ali, I'm afraid.
That's a good point, man. That's a good point. Because he's another one that relies a lot on his physical gifts. But when it comes to keeping the hands up, you saw it against South American guy. What was his name? Fuck. His name escapes me right now. But Kolke was giving him hell in that one. And you have to wonder.
Wasn't Kolke a Turk?
I thought I think he was born in the South America. Let me check it out. He's from Ecuador. Yeah, he's from Ecuador.
He was a Turk.
I wonder if Precise knows the guy personally. They're both in Ecuador right now.
Is it the only two people that live in Ecuador? They must know each other.
Yeah, they're the only. But by the way, we have a picture for those of you that are watching on YouTube right now. We have a picture of Munguia. I'm gonna put it up on the screen right there. There you see Munguia with his family. Pretty tall guy, man. Let me tell you. By the way, if anybody doesn't know who that is the tallest man who ever lived. Butcher, do you want to know how tall the guy was?
How tall? 9?
8 feet 11 inches tall.
Jesus.
You think about it. This guy, Tyson Fury is almost 7 feet tall. This guy's fucking more 10 inches over the guy, or more than that. Can you fucking imagine a guy that tall? It's insanity. Insanity. I wish I was as tall as that. Some people say, yeah, but you're going to have bad posture and blah, blah, blah. I can live with bad posture. I would rather live 40 years as a guy that's 8 feet 11 than my whole life with the current weight. I'll say that, man. And I'm not kidding. I want to be as tall.
Hey, who would you rather be, bro? Him or Warwick Davis?
Who the fuck is Warwick Davis? I don't know
that
who
guy
that is.
from that movie, man. What was that movie?
Yeah, Google Warwick Davis quickly. You got to know who Warwick Davis is. You have to know who he is.
Warwick.
That's a good show, though. It's kind of funny, though.
Oh, the. Yeah. I've seen him before. That guy. Yeah. We're talking about a
Would you rather be nearly 7 foot, 8 foot, whatever he is, or 4 foot? Which one would you rather be?
All right. Well, listen. Is he dead, by the way? The midget?
No,
he's still alive. He's still, well, he's doing TV shows still.
Okay, but by the way, before we continue, what's the politically correct term? Because I keep saying midget, but what do we call him? You can't call him dwarves.
Little people. We've got to call them little people.
No, but that's belittling them. It's like if I call you, well, actually, your name is too little, so maybe you're fine with that. But if I call, let's say I call somebody, hey little man, that's belittling somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid then, I don't know. It's better than saying, all right, you little cunt.
Yeah, all right, you little turd. Yeah. But anyway, who would I rather be?
Why would you even talk about this shit?
Political correct madness at the end of the day, you know.
See, Wexford in the chat room says dwarf is the correct term. Really, a dwarf. That's a mystical creature, man. So come on,
let's call him that no more. I don't think you can call him that no more.
Exactly.
You've got to call them little people. Dwarf is offensive, apparently, now. I've seen it a few places.
Let's call him little fucks. Doc Odin asks, is this Stuart from the Boxing Voice? It's the very same, my friend. BDA
That's how they know Stuart. They know Stuart from the Boxing.
Exactly, yeah. Everybody knows him, man. This is like the 5th person that's come on the chat and goes, is that the Stuart Little? I'm like, that's right. The one and only.
It's me, I'm afraid. I found myself in a proper fucking hangout, in a proper podcast.
That's right. We're talking about midgets and who would you rather be. This is the podcast to be on right now.
Yeah, eating ass and shit. You know, you can't beat it.
All right, so we were talking about Liam Smith, and I think he could have, based on Ali's chin issues and defensive holes, I do think he could have given Ali a lot of trouble. And Ali, again, he's got to tighten up that defense, man, because he's been stopped now 2 times, and it won't be the last time. I can tell you that much right now. And by the way, Golden Boy, they lost with Linares, they lost with Ali. It's not looking good for Golden Boy right now, I'll tell you that much. And by the way,
I mean, when you see how when Linares dropped Lomachenko, I mean, Oscar De La Hoya looked like he just fucking won the lottery, didn't he? Or he just had a fucking fresh batch of cocaine delivered from Colombia, because that guy had he was sitting there like a Cheshire cat. He was thinking, fucking hell, the money's going to be rolling in here. Right. And then reality kicked in again about 2 minutes later, but he got well excited when Linares dropped Lomachenko.
Yeah, man, he was probably thinking, listen, I know Linares is letting his hands go. One judge probably has this fight closer than it should be, and now with the knockdown, we're probably on our way to a decision win for Linares. That's probably why he was so fucking happy, man. But that's the thing, man. I mean, Linares lost, Ali lost, and apparently if what Jimmy said a couple of episodes ago about how Canelo is dissatisfied with Golden Boy and his contract is done, I think, in a year or something. Golden Boy needs Canelo, man. Ryan Garcia ain't gonna cut it at this point. And imagine, is it possible that Eddie Hearn, if everything starts going well for him with the zone deal, and he starts signing up American fighters? You know, fighters are all they all follow the trends. If they see that everybody's signing with Eddie Hearn, they're gonna follow suit. Could we end up? What's the possibility that we see Canelo ending up with Eddie Hearn? Anybody?
Nope. We'll have to see how it goes.
I don't see that happening, to be honest with you. I think Canelo gets paid well by Golden Boy, doesn't he? He's the golden egg there. He gets his own way, does what he wants. He basically runs Golden Boy. So why is he going to leave to be just a prawn in Eddie Hearn's camp, sort of thing? I mean, I don't see that.
You know, Canelo reminds me a little bit of that. You know, it's like he's the 6-foot kid with a midget parent, a midget dad, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I want to take the car out tonight." "I don't know, son. I don't think that's a good idea." "Oh yeah, you don't think it's a good idea?" And then he pushes the midget father down. I mean, that's what Canelo reminds me of. He's the son, but he's calling the shots because he knows he's got, like Jimmy said, he's got him by the short and curly. So Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but it would make sense. By the way, we got Cachnello on the line. Cachnello, are you there?
Yeah, hi. How's it going?
Good,
BDA?
good. Thanks for being on. We were talking earlier about...
BDA, can I just quickly ask, if Pavel's in the chat asking for my email because he wants to send me something, can you ask him to send it to Butcho, and he'll send it to my Skype, please, if that's all right?
Absolutely. Pavel,
I'll take care of it.
You take care of it? Perfect. Cachnello, we were talking about Liam Smith, Sanam Ali versus Munguia. You said it before you left the hangout. You said, don't be surprised if Munguia is too big. What did you think of the fight?
Yeah, I really like the fight. Man, Munguia, that kid is huge. I mean, what is he like? You said 6 foot? I thought he was like 5'10" or something. But I mean, even at the weigh-in, I mean, the size comparison was just, I mean, it was ridiculous. But yeah, Munguia, I actually thought he showed a little bit better defense than his last fights. He's kind of like, doing the shoulder roll a little bit. He's covering himself up pretty well. Yeah, he got hit a couple times, but no, I think Saddam Ali was just way too small to hurt Munguia. But yeah, that left hook though from Munguia is, I think it's brutal.
Killer left hook.
And yeah, I heard you say the hook to the body as well. Like that, that was a good punch from Munguia.
See, I'd only seen Munguia fight on Azteca TV or, like against limited opposition, so I didn't know how he was going to handle a guy like Ali. But even now, even after the fight, after beating Ali, I'm still unsold on the guy. I'm still not sold because he looked just way too big, man. At least 3 divisions bigger.
Yeah, you're right. I still think he needs a little bit more to prove. But yeah, I think he was like 170 fight night. I think that's what they were saying.
Yeah, that's
Linares was 152 pounds as well. So that's a lot of weight as well to put on overnight.
Yeah, I heard it was he 152, something like that?
Yeah, 152, bro.
And Butcho, where did you hear that Lomachenko was 136?
No, I never said anything.
Oh, I thought you said
he was 130. He was 138. Lomachenko was.
Whoa, that's not a lot, man. Just 3 pounds. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Pavel having a smoke. Pavel, are you there? All right.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Oh, perfect. Good to have you on. I can see you're enjoying a nice. Is that a cigar, a cigarette, or is that you got something else in there?
No, that's a rolled up cigarette.
Oh, it's a rolled up cigarette. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking maybe he's enjoying a little bit of that weed, as they say.
No. It's really hard to get weed for a reasonable price here in Poland, so not an option.
There's half a pouch of tobacco in that fucking fag. What's the size of it?
Yeah, there
you see.
Like
this, I make a cone shape.
Pavel sucking on a big fag.
Hey, Pavel, did you send Butcher that thing for me?
Not yet. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
What is it then? Oh, you'll send it. Okay.
You're gonna enjoy it. Just give me a sec.
Hey, Stu, you said you were barbecuing with a midget. You must have felt like Munguia compared to him, right? All right, I guess he didn't. I think Stu said he was barbecuing with a midget. They were talking boxing.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually, sorry. He said he was barbecuing with a guy from the Middle East. What did I say? Because we started talking about that midget actor afterwards, that one from the 80s. But no, he wasn't barbecuing with a midget, nor was he barbecuing a midget. All right, just to let you people know that Stu's not insane. I mean, he's a little insane, but he's not that insane. Let's go back to
by the way, talking about Munguia and midgets, and Munguia against Jared Hurd, man. That's
that's what we said. Yeah, we mentioned that. Look, that would be 2 weight bullies fighting guys their own size finally.
Yeah, I think Munguia though, he should fight. Should get a little bit more fights in before he steps in with Hurd. I mean, he's a champion. He can probably take a few tune-ups, and then I guess just wait to see what Hurd does next too. But yeah, that's a good fight too.
Again, that's a good fight, and I just want to remind you guys that if you're gonna be silent for long stretches, please mute your mic so that we don't have any background noise, because it really does affect the stream. And don't forget now, if you're listening, Don't worry about it. And if you're listening on Spreaker, this is being streamed on YouTube right now live. So if you miss something, you can always go on to YouTube and listen to the unedited version. I wanted to say that about Munguia. Munguia versus Liam Smith, that would be a bad fight, man, because Smith is a guy that likes to stay in there. He likes to go to the body himself. That would be a good test for Munguia.
Yeah, Smith would probably get annihilated versus Munguia. Yeah, I mean, I know I Stu was saying that he went rounds with Canelo. He was doing okay. He's taking shots from him, but I think maybe Munguia probably punches way harder than Canelo does, and his size would probably be a huge factor.
Yeah, I think it's a war, but then Liam Smith just collapses.
I can't call the Maniga fight because I just don't know enough about him. But Saddam Ali is that's an easier fight to call for me. And that's why
I think maybe Brook versus Munguia would be a pretty more competitive fight. I mean, I want to see that one too.
All right.
Brook Munguia, that'd be like I said, if he's a big guy like you're saying, and he's strong, that's going to be a good test for Kell Brook, because we want to know if he can still take a shot on that eye socket of his. I mean, he's walking around like fucking Robocop, isn't he? The amount of steel he's got in his face.
So, Brook is way more technical than this guy Munguia, but mentally, I think he's broken, man.
I mean,
this is it. I think that's what Brook needs. Brook needs a big guy that's going to test him mentally, and that's a good fight for me.
Yeah, I think Munguia was cutting off the ring pretty well, though, actually, on Ali. But yeah, he showed a little like some technical boxing skills in there. But he's a threat to anybody right now, I think, at 154.
Yeah, people in the chat room are saying that Munguia looks like Goro from Mortal Kombat. I mean,
he has a weird face, man.
Yeah, he's got he does have a weird face. But, you guys are talking about, like Canelo said, that Munguia was cutting off the corner. Let me tell you something. Kell Brook might be a sharper puncher than Ali, but he's the same size, 5'9". And Munguia, like Canelo said, he cuts off the ring. He hammers you with heavy hands. I think Brook gets hammered down in this one again. I think his face gets broken, just like in the Errol Spence fight.
There was the third round, I think, where he hits Ali with that huge right hand, and he stumbles back into the ropes, and it was just, I mean, that guy is a puncher, seriously. I mean, it was fun to watch him. I mean, a lot of people were saying that it was a mismatch and this and that, but I mean, it was fun to watch. I've seen some people saying that Ali got set up, and that Golden Boy was trying to set Triple G up too versus this kid, and I mean, it's just crazy what people are saying. I don't think he goes rounds with Golovkin. I think he probably gets stopped too versus him, because I mean, he's still green. I mean, he's 21.
Yeah, it's easy to look good against Ali when you outweigh him by that much, but let's see him take a flush right hand or left hook from, because you saw, I think it was in the fourth or third round, that Ali did a mini rally. He hit him with a 1-2 and then a left hook, and you could see Munguia just like froze a little bit. He froze, and I think that's that lack of experience. Like, he's never been hit by a guy like Golovkin, so forget about Golovkin right now. 154, if he can still make one.
Come here, you.
Oh, we can see.
Sorry, I was talking about dogs. Sorry.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, we heard somebody woofing, barking back there. There we go. Listen, let's go. Let's do hypotheticals here. All right, Stu, if you can please.
I'm trying to find my mute. Sorry, bro. I'm trying to find my mute, but no.
All right, let's put it up there. Kell Brook, I think he's too small. He's a big puncher, even at 154, I think, but I think he's too small for Munguia. How about Julian Williams? You think Julian Williams could beat Munguia?
He's kind of chinny, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it would still be a good test for him. Maybe what's that kid, Lubin, Erickson Lubin? That'd probably be a pretty good test for him as well.
I think Lubin kid is making a comeback against some, I don't know the guy, so yeah.
Yeah, Poe Johnson is.
What about a Hovhannisyan fight?
That would be a good one. That would be a good one. You know which one would be a good one too as well? The guy that lost to Julian Williams, Nathaniel Gallimore. He's big, he's durable. Right. He took, Williams' best shots. That would be a very good test to see where Munguia is at right now.
Yeah, that's true. Because what is he? That guy is like, what I heard he turned like pro very late, and he doesn't have much of an amateur career. That's what I heard. So he's kind of one of those learning on the job guys.
Yeah, he's very good for a guy that started late. And you saw Julian Williams almost took him out in the 11th round. And then Gallimore came back stronger in the 12th round. So this guy's got balls, man. This guy's got balls, and I would love to see him in there against Munguia.
Again, Lara against Munguia?
You know what? That would be good to see if Munguia can cut off the ring against a guy like Lara. But after what we saw from Jared Hurd against Lara, I think the size will definitely bother, what's his name, Lara. So I don't know about that one, Pucho.
Wow, the Lara aura of an invincibility is fucking gone now, huh?
Yeah, he could have beaten Triple G, man. He could. No, I'm kidding.
He could have beaten Triple G, man.
By the way,
you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was gonna say that Munguia, since he's only 21, he's eventually gonna move up, I'm sure. I'd like to see him versus Canelo in like maybe a couple years. I think that'd be a good fight.
Well, okay,
who middleweight?
Was it you earlier who said that you think Munguia hits harder than Canelo?
Yeah, I think he does, honestly.
I'm trying to think whether you're right or... Because I definitely think Canelo is a sharper puncher right now. But if you were to test...
Yeah.
But like you're saying, like if you were to stand in front of a guy and let him hit you to the body, I do wonder who has punch for punch, who hits harder.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You think, you guys think that Munguia is bigger than Canelo? Or do you think they weigh about the same, even though there's a disproportionate height advantage there?
I think it's just a height advantage that Munguia has over Canelo. I think Canelo is what he looks like he has more muscle mass, so he can pack on a little bit more weight than Munguia. But I think, size-wise, I think they're both like their frame. I think they're about the same.
Yeah, maybe. Well, the frame in terms of the weight they pack.
In terms of muscle mass, yeah.
By the way, I see we have Precise on the line.
Dependent upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though?
Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
That type of person doesn't have standards. Ridiculous. All right, Precise, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good to have you on. Did you get a good night's sleep last night, or were you too excited after the fights we had?
I slept well.
Good to hear that. All right, listen, thanks for being on. Always appreciate you being here. And we're talking Ali versus Munguia. Did you catch the fight?
I did, and I was kind of worried for Golovkin there for a moment when I saw that big ass monster, and I thought he dodged a bullet, man. What the fuck was that all about?
Yeah, man, that guy. People are comparing him to Goro from the Mortal Kombat.
Godzilla, whatever, man.
Yeah, he looked.
Jesus Christ.
And you know the freakiest thing? Like I told Stu, the guy looks baby-faced, so he looks like a 14-year-old kid that was stretched out in one night. I mean, that's really just it creeps me out, man. I don't know why. Watching a guy that tall. Luke Wardle just subscribed. Shout out to Luke. All right, but Precise, you tell me, man. After the fight, people are saying, well, maybe, I think he called out Golovkin, this Munguia kid, but come on, he's never been hit with the type of precision and power that Golovkin brings, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he looks tough, but Saddam Ali was just so tiny, so whatever, man. He's calling Golovkin to, sorry, I'm walking up a mountain, yeah.
That's the first time we've heard that on the show. That's the first time we've heard that on the show. Somebody says, sorry, I'm walking up a mountain. Jesus.
He, he was linked with Golovkin.
You're breaking up.
Right, to promote himself, so he's just promoting himself, I think.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think at this point he's just trying to get his name. He's already got his name out there after the last night's win, but I mean, I don't know,
I
man.
think Max Kellerman was interviewing him last night. He said that I don't think he called out Golovkin. He said something like, "I like to thank the Nevada State Athletic Commission for not letting me fight Golovkin. Otherwise, I wouldn't be champion right now." I think that's all he said about him. I don't think he called him out.
Ah, okay, yeah. See, don't listen to what I have to say. Fucking, I didn't even watch the poll. I just read that some people were saying that he was calling out Golovkin. So, again, hearsay.
Golovkin has a lot on his plate right now, and he's not gonna get any credit for fighting this guy. So.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
I mean,
it's kind of a useless fight right at this point.
By the way, people are saying, some people were alluding to the fact that Carlos Ocampo, who's going to be taking on Errol Spence, again, another unknown Mexican, or relatively unknown Mexican. Some people are asking, ooh, maybe he can pull a Munguia. Guys, trust me, I've seen Ocampo fight, and you can see him fight too on YouTube. There's plenty of fights of him there. And check out Daily Motion too if you want to see more Ocampo fights. He's not, he's a good fighter, you know, he's tall and all that, but if anybody resembles Munguia, it's Errol Spence. So let's not make it out to be like Ocampo's going to demolish Errol Spence. He might fight better than we think, but don't look forward to an upset there. I don't think. We were also talking about this goddamn Munguia guy. So what was I gonna? Sorry, hold on a second. I was gonna mention something about Munguia. Yeah, he can handle the power, but yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is Munguia? Yeah, he's a weak bully, but he showed good feints, man. Good timing and good feints, especially that last knockdown with the lead left hook. I mean, what do you guys think? He does have a little skill there, right? Anybody?
And I thought he was light on his feet. He cut the ring off pretty well. You know, Ali likes to move a lot laterally. He was light on his feet. Hands were good. Defense was decent. You know, I was impressed because he did fight a fucking midget in there. But you see potential, definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. But again, weight fucking bully, man. But at least, like I'm saying, I mean, the silver lining is that even if he does move up at his correct weight, he still seems, like you said, he displayed good skills. So it's not just skills, but he really should get out of 154 because it's just not fair, man. Just not fair.
Yeah.
BDA, you think he's a middleweight right now, or is that his weight?
I think he's a super middleweight, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, precise. I think you said in the chat room him against Uzcategui.
Yeah, that's size-wise. That's a fair fight, I think.
That sounds about right. Sounds about right. You know what? Let's get back then a little bit to Lomachenko because Bucho and myself we were talking about Mikey Garcia, and we were talking. I was rewatching the Lomachenko fight. Did we talk about how he might have gotten stunned? I think it was in the 4th round by a counter right hand. Did we talk about? Yeah, a little. I don't know, but that's why I'm asking you guys. Do you think, like, watch that 4th round? I think it was the 4th round. He got caught with a counter right hand, and his legs. I don't know if he was off balance or if it was because he got caught on the side of the head. But Linares was. You could tell it wasn't an accident that he dropped him with that right hand later on in the fight. I mean, he had that right hand timed. I mean, he was trying. You could tell he worked on it in the gym. So my question is. Yeah, Mikey Garcia, he's not as quick-handed as Linares, but that precision, do you guys think, maybe it's a big if, but is that a dangerous thing for Lomachenko there?
I think so, but I think Mikey's going to have a harder time placing his shots than Linares did. Much harder time, actually.
Yeah,
but he's more powerful.
I said that yesterday. I think Linares is a bit more crisper with his punches, a bit more cleaner. Yeah,
much faster.
Much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it, man. When it comes to hand speed and overall quickness, Lomachenko has the edge over Mikey Garcia. But I mean, I'm just trying to look at it from a different perspective. Oh, look, Peterson just gave. Wait a minute. Why does it always says 1.99 pounds? And afterwards, it says 19.99. Anyway, 19.99 pounds from whatever Luke Peterson gave. Luke, thank you for your contribution. He says, good chats, lads. Spend the money wisely. Oh, yeah, we will. We're trying to work on that. We're trying to work on that Spreaker subscription to put the podcast on there.
When we've earned enough, we're going to go and see Precise in Ecuador and get some of that Ecuadorian white, aren't we, boys? We're going to use your money very wisely.
Sex bots.
Ecuador is sex bots. That's just the donkeys they have over there. That's what they call the robots. By the way, Precise, what's the altitude over in Ecuador? I mean, when you first relocated there, did you feel it? Did you feel it was harder to get a breather in there? Or?
It still is. I'm
really?
at about 1,700 meters, so something like 5,000 feet, maybe. Colorado, basically, I think.
Holy moly! Do you work out over there, or do you do physical activity, whether it's working out or working?
I mean, work is working out for me, basically. Yeah, lots of physical activity.
So you feel like you haven't gotten accustomed to it yet?
No, I've gotten accustomed to it now. When I go to California, which is sea level, obviously, I'm like Superman.
Like, people think you're
I got
PEDs.
retarded stamina, man. Like, it's retarded.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, but the fact still remains that, you know, I wasn't born here, so my lungs didn't grow to a certain size, breathing this rare air. So I'm never fully gonna get used to it like the natives. So I'm still, you know, when I do physical activity and go up a mountain carrying something or trying to talk, sometimes I'll make videos walking up a mountain and talking at the same time. It's real easy to run out of breath doing that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Is it very high altitude where you are then, like Big Bear?
Not as high as Big Bear, but it's pretty high up there. It's about a mile. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, when you quite. I bet the air's quite thin, isn't it? It's one of them where you walk 5 steps and your lungs start to burn.
When I first got here, yeah, it was quite difficult. Now, I'm pretty accustomed to it, but still, it's not the same as being at sea level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when Hopkins fought Segundo Mercado for the middleweight the vacant IBF title. It was in Ecuador, and Hopkins came out strong the first 3 rounds, and then by the 4th, 5th, from one round to the next, he was exhausted. That goddamn altitude over there in Ecuador, man, it's a bitch. It's a killer.
Yeah, Quito's quite a bit higher actually than here, and it's a lot more difficult there.
When you get back to the United States, do people think you're on PEDs the way you're able to perform over there?
I just don't break a sweat. You know what I mean? Jeez. I don't tire. I have to wait for people. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I hope this conversation isn't boring people, but it's just that I'm interested in the altitude and all that, because I remember it was Margaret Goodman, I think, Dr. Margaret Goodman, who said that she wasn't convinced that high altitude training was as effective as some people made it out to be. But you're saying you do feel the difference, so there is something there about the training at high altitude.
Yeah, but I think you have to live at high altitude, and then some people say that if you train at high altitude but sleep at sea level or as close to sea level as possible, that gives you even more of a benefit because you're getting a lot more oxygen that way. So there's probably better ways of doing it, but I notice a huge difference. Like it's not even funny, man. And people who come here, they have zero stamina. You know, people that come from US and they don't live at altitude, they're useless up here.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. It must be especially like you said, if you're not used to it and you just show up there from 1 minute to the next, that's what people get sick sometimes or lightheaded. Pavel, you're studying this, right? What did you say you're studying again in school?
I was I'm not studying, but I'm going to study kinesiology. So basically, it's like a sports science thing or whatever.
Well, what about it? Can you add something to that? I mean, is training, like Precise said, training at high altitude, do you need to stay there for more than just 2 months like they do with these training camps? Do you actually have to live there to fully get the benefits?
Precise one on point actually. I've read a couple of scientific studies conducted on about 200 people, which is not a lot, but still. Basically, if you don't live on a high altitude, then the training is not going to benefit you if you actually don't live there for a couple of years. I think for more than 3 years for your whole body to get accustomed to. So yeah.
So the guys that are training over at Big Bear and all that, are they sort of like fooling themselves a little bit?
You know, if they go like on a I don't know, 8 weeks camp or something like that, it's a gimmick. It's like, you know, you see those guys working out with those fucking masks, you know, high altitude masks,
Yeah.
which is basically a substitute of a fancy substitute of a breathing through a straw. You know, it's not gonna do any good to you. It's just a marketing show.
By the way, Pavel, can you get closer to your mic, please? Is that a possibility?
Good enough.
Was that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you sound like you're a little far away. A little, you know, it's a little silent.
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's better. That's better. You're closer to the mic.
Yeah. All right.
All right. All right. So there we have it, man. I mean, getting, you know, it's a little bit of a mirage. This Luke Peterson says Pavel looks like Moby. You know who Moby is, Pavel, or not the whale?
Give
obviously.
me a break.
You do look like that. You're bald and you got glasses. That's Moby right there, man.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. Yeah, exactly. No, but listen, I love Moby's music. He's one of my favorite musicians. But this guy is a classic soy boy. I think he's actually literally a soy boy because he consumes soy and he's a vegetarian.
I think I have twice as thick of a neck that he has got. So yeah.
Yeah, I think your wrist.
The guy's a weirdo, man.
Oh yeah.
Weirdo.
I know he is. He is. I want to buy his autobiography because I think he talks about it, how he used to go when he lived in New York, and he still lives in New York, I think, but he would go to a dominatrix, and the dominatrix, she had drains on her floor, and the drains were there for when her more hardcore clients, they like to be cut and all that, so that the blood had to drip and he had to go somewhere. That's why she had. I mean, that's what Moby was into. So yeah, fucking definitely a weirdo. Then again, I think I should say allegedly because I might not be getting the story 100% right. So don't quote me on that, man. But getting back to the boxing thing. All right, so we were talking about altitude and all that. Let's get back to Lomachenko a little bit. He did show his limitations a little bit. And we were talking about, with Bucho, we were talking about how Linares was a bit of a complete package in terms of he had good hand speed, good skills. At this point, he's at his peak because he has experience and he's still physically talented. Who else can, like so far there, who do you think can give him his toughest fight at lightweight? Who wants to go first on that one?
He's already had it. He's just had it. He's just had the toughest fight there.
So you think it's over at lightweight?
Little Mikey Garcia could be. I mean, let's be real. We don't know what he's going to look like dropping back down to 135. I mean, he's fighting Robert Easter Jr., I believe. So we'll take Mikey after that fight. We've got to see where he is at 135. But right now, Linares is the main man in that. It was the main man in that division. Clearly the best fighter in the division. So a lot of people they work their way up the rankings, where Lomachenko likes to work his way down, and that's the sort of fighter he is. He fights the best, and he did show a few limitations in there, and I think he got a bit complacent where he thought it was going to be a walk in the park, and I think that right hand seriously woke him up. I think Precise said it. That as soon as he got hit with that right hand, he started to cover up after that. He started sticking his left hand up. And so he's fighting because he did get very complacent.
If you watch that sixth round,
it could have gone horribly wrong for him.
Yeah, if you watch that sixth round again, Lomachenko early in that round hurt Linares to the body, I believe, with the left hand, and he was having a lot of success taking them into the matrix, right, if you will. And then Linares started having success outboxing him, showing him a lot of lateral movement, and Lomachenko, instead of cutting off the ring, started to follow him around the ring, and he got a little frustrated, and instead of getting to the spot first laterally, he just went straight in while hopping up and down, and Linares timed that bounce. He just jumped in. He jumped into the punch, and I was impressed at how well he took that punch because he didn't quite plant his feet. Like his toes were on the ground, but he didn't plant his heels yet. And the punch caught him, and he lost his balance and went down. And I mean, I was impressed with how well he took a punch from a guy that outweighed him by at least 10 pounds.
Good observation, man.
I'll tell you what that,
Good.
I'll tell you what that shot reminded me of. It reminded me of, you know, when George Groves hit Frotch clean on the fucking chin in the first fight. That was the same sort of punch. Lomachenko just got clean at the front of the chin, and he just showed a tremendous chin. But what Lomachenko, like Vasyl said, he was actually jumping forward in straight lines against a guy who had a lot bigger reach than him, who's got serious snap in his punches, who's got a great right hand. And a southpaw's worst punch is a right hand. Everyone knows that. That is the kryptonite of a southpaw. And it was very like when Wilder knocked out Spilker, the way Spilker flew in a straight line and got caught with a straight right as he was coming. It was very similar to that. But Lomachenko showed a very good chin, definitely.
He got too confident and a little frustrated because he had some success and wanted to capitalize on it, probably hoping to stop him right then and there. And he paid the price. And I think it's a great learning experience. It's going to make it that much harder for Mikey or anybody else to catch him with that same shot.
That's a very good point. And also when we talked about Linares, you know, the thing I got to give him credit for rewatching the fight earlier this morning was that when you look at guys like Walters and Rigondeaux, they couldn't even pull the trigger against Lomachenko. Fucking Linares was letting his hands go. And again, like we were mentioning last night, Lomachenko was blocking most of it, but at least Linares, you know, he forced Lomachenko to have to block, which is really sometimes the last line of defense. Gary Russell Jr. also was able to let his hands go. But partly the reason why these guys are able to touch Lomachenko is because they're fast-handed. And that's the problem with Mikey Garcia. Yes, he has timing, but if the fight's taking place on the outside and Lomachenko's not giving him openings, can he get quicker? Can he make it to the target? And that's one of the big questions right there.
Mikey's more of a single puncher than a combination puncher. And if you saw the work Linares was doing, he was actually throwing in combinations. Because when Lomachenko covers up, although he's blocking a lot of the shots, they're still scoring punches in a lot of the judges' eyes. And it looks like that's why people think Linares is winning all these rounds, because they still look like they're scoring punches. So I think that's what you got to do against Lomachenko. I don't think single punches is the answer. You've got to be throwing combinations with a lot of speed and a lot of accuracy. And Linares was doing that. He just, unfortunately for him, he got caught with a monstrous body shot. And that's all she wrote.
And I don't know about you guys, but I don't recall Mikey leading with the right hand very much at all. It's always the measuring stick. It's always the jab, and then he kind of staggers the right hand after it, right? He'll try to touch you with the jab or hit you with the jab, and then he tries to time the right hand. He doesn't just go 1-2. He goes 1, and then he looks for the right hand whenever he sees the opening. And you know, even if he hits Lomachenko with the jab, Loma's not going to be there for the right hand. You have to lead with the right hand and try to time him on the way in, I believe, especially if you don't have Linares' hand speed.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mikey Garcia, like you said, he measures you with that jab, which comes out fast. He doesn't telegraph it. But even against Zlatikanen, I don't remember him leading with the right hand. It's always 1-2, 1-2, and it better be extra precise or fast if he wants to catch Lomachenko with that, because again, I think Lomachenko has. Then again, like I said, rewatch that fourth round where Lomachenko threw a 1-2, and then he put his right hand up, but Linares caught him with a right hand, and I think he staggered Lomachenko a little bit. So maybe it's when Lomachenko opens up. That's when there are a couple of openings there, but he just mixes you up with everything, feints, pity pats. Oh, Stu, what did you call those? What's the correct term? Not pity pats, but when you're setting throwaway punches, I think you call them during one episode.
Yeah, called throwaway punches.
Throwaway punches, yeah.
So you basically throw them away to take that opponent's eye off the one that's following it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Probes.
Yeah, probing, man. But listen, that Mikey Garcia fight is really... Because again, I ask you guys, like, who can match right now, what's his name, Lomachenko's skill set in terms of physical ability? There's not that many quick guys that can keep up with Lomachenko.
There's people with serious ability in boxing right now. Who's up there with Lomachenko? I just think with Lomachenko, because we're in an era where footwork and feints and pivots and all these angles, it's something we've not really seen before. So it makes everyone think that it's the Matrix and this guy is the best. when it comes to skills. But there's a lot of other fighters that do other things very well as well. So it's hard to say.
A lot of these guys were tailor-made for him because Rigondeaux doesn't have any fucking footwork. His footwork is trash. I don't know why people get so excited about Rigondeaux. Dude has no footwork. I mean, he could get away from you. He could run away or confuse you, but he can't throw any punches off his footwork. He's just, the guy's completely overrated. Same with Walters, right? Linares showed good footwork, excellent lateral movement, and he could punch on the move, something those guys weren't able to do. So I was very cautious about overrating Lomachenko going into this fight. And I was thinking the same thing when it came to Tank Davis. Like, look, I would pick Lomachenko to beat Tank Davis, but I don't think it's as big of a mismatch as we think it is. I think Tank gives him a tough-ass fight.
So you like you said last night, you're a little skeptical right now of Lomachenko 135.
Well, I've always been skeptical. I tend to be skeptical until I'm proven wrong. I think that's the best policy. Look, Lomachenko has all the tools, but I keep saying this over and over. He has to put the shit together. And for somebody with 11, 12 fights, you can only expect so much. You know what I mean? That's why this fight is such a great experience for him, because he's been going 6, 8, 9 rounds. And in reality, really 2 or 3 or 4 were difficult, where he had to think, and then he would just cruise. And now he was actually forced to think, and he had to overcome adversity and do something. And he said it himself, right? He taught me another lesson in boxing.
Yeah, that's the point.
I think what we've seen in Lomachenko's career so far, in the very few fights he's had, he learns very fast. You know, he'll make mistakes. There's an echo. Every man makes mistakes, but Lomachenko learns from these mistakes, and a very, very smart fighter. He just takes everything in. And Linares was really struggling. Linares struggled with that right hand after he dropped Lomachenko, because Lomachenko started to look out for that shot and put his left hand up, and Linares struggled after that to connect with it. Very smart fighter, Lomachenko.
Didn't Lomachenko said in his post-fight interview that like Linares' fight is going to be his last boxing lesson or something?
I don't know. Anybody hear that? Because I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he said that was, in other words, that's another thing that he's learned from a fight. You know, this guy, as good as he is, there's not a fighter that's ever graced a boxing ring that knows everything about boxing. You can always learn something new, and this fight taught Lomachenko something new. Taught him that if he gets complacent against the top guys with good hand speed and good power, he could be asleep.
So it's just like with Anthony Joshua, you know, even though maybe he's stagnating a little bit, but it's like with Anthony Joshua, the time to fight him is right now, unless you could fight him yesterday. You know what I mean? You got to fight him now, because tomorrow he's going to be that much better.
Exactly. You know? Yeah. Well, like you said, like lightweight, he met a guy who had more experience than, like, he was just as talented, physically talented as Gary Russell Jr. Linares was, but he also had the experience of having been knocked out, having gotten himself back up, being in wars like against Kevin Mitchell. So it was by far, I do think now rewatching the fight, it was Lomachenko's toughest opponent so far. And but Lomachenko just has to try and put it together. By the way, we have recognized the Matrix on the line, so.
Don't get fooled when they tell you that the crime rate is down in New York. Every time I watch the local news, they're always talking about, well, there was a stabbing here, there was a stabbing there, there was a shooting there, but the crime is down.
Fake news, no fake news here at BDA Boxing. Recognize, thanks for being on. Please, if you could, try to stay as close to the mic as possible, all right?
All right, how do you hear me now?
Yeah, it could be better, man. Is that the best you can do? Don't tell me that's the best you've got. I know you got more than that. Come on, man.
I got let me put on my headphones. That's where I notice how.
Fantastic. All right, breaking up a little bit. And by the way,
I saw the fight.
Oh, good.
And it was a good fight. Very good. Very entertaining.
Did anything surprise you? Anything stand out from it?
the size difference at first is what stood out to me. I thought. By the way, how do you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. That's much better, man.
Way better.
Okay, there we go. So the size difference is the first thing that stood out to me. Was it looked like he was about 2 inches taller than Loma, and a good 10 pounds heavier. Loma was very aggressive, right? I thought it broke his game plan just a little bit in terms of, you know, usually when he's coming forward, even if he's coming forward in a straight line, he's ducking his head. He's, he's moving his head side to side, but he was kind of in several spots. He was just abandoning that and coming forward. And I thought that Linares did a good job understanding what he was doing. Although I thought he was losing the fight completely. Outside of the first and the first round, I gave him, and the sixth round, obviously, because he dropped him. And then the seventh round, I thought there was not enough activity from Loma. But I thought Linares did a good job using lateral movement to set up that overhand straight right that lands. Didn't hurt Lomachenko, just, knocked him off his feet. And then, nothing really surprised me. I had a feeling, again, I'm not gonna brag too much. I said that Linares will lose this fight, but not before he has a moment or two. He either hurts Lomachenko, or he drops him. And turned out that he dropped him. I don't think he really hurt him that much. But overall, a great performance by Lomachenko. I thought it was a great performance on his part. I love the way he finished him off. He set that up beautifully.
Well, now that you mentioned that, the stoppages, let's just recap or the predictions from the hangout from the BDA family. Cameron had Lomachenko by 9th round stoppage, so he was 1 round off. Apology had it perfect. Lomachenko by 10th round stoppage. Boxing Styles said Lomachenko by 8th round stoppage, so he was 2 rounds off. Vasyl had it perfect as well, 10th round stoppage. He said standing TKO, so okay, maybe not as perfect, but he had the round correct and the stoppage as well. Recognize had Lomachenko 7th round stoppage, but he said that Linares would stun Lomachenko at some point. Stu had Lomachenko by unanimous decision. Bucho, I think he hits. Fuck, I didn't write your prediction down. What you said, Lomachenko by stoppage, right?
No, I just said late run stoppage.
Late run stoppage.
Right.
Precise said that Lomachenko was going to go to the 12th, but he was going to get stopped in that round. Cachnello said Lomachenko late stoppage, and Reverse had it Lomachenko unanimous decision. So, I mean, everybody got the right prediction, but only a couple of people had the round and the way the stoppage perfect on the tee. But listen, I mean, it was a good competitive fight. I like the way that Precise put it when he said that Lomachenko didn't quite take Linares into the matrix. But that's to be expected. That's how Lomachenko is going to look against guys who can match his physical skills. He's not going to be able to just beat them based on hand speed. He's going to actually beat him on his skill, superior skill, and that's why he's not going to look as he's not going to razzle and dazzle like he did against guys like Sosa or Mariaga. But even then, even though the rounds were competitive, I still think Lomachenko was always one step ahead of Linares, man. Just based on
I think what he learned in that fight was that at distance against these big guys, he's got his work cut out. He has to get inside where I think he's magical. In the pocket, Lomachenko is magical. Obviously, he's good from distance as well, but Linares just had so much snap in his shot, so much reach advantage. It's just very hard for him to outbox Linares without getting caught with big shots. So as soon as he started taking it in the pocket, started roughing Linares up with uppercuts and body shots, that's all she wrote. And that's one thing he's going to learn if he's stays in this division.
And going back to Mikey Garcia, because you're seeing a lot of this, and then there should be hype for the fight, don't get me wrong, but you're seeing a lot of people now dick riding Mikey, saying how he's going to do this and that. But let's not pretend like Rocky Martinez did knock Mikey Garcia down. Let's not pretend like Salido didn't make him quit. You know what I mean? Let's not pretend like Mikey Garcia hasn't been fighting the same type of opponent over and over and over, which is probably why he's been looking good. You know, he just fights these come forward guys that are very basic. And when you had someone like Martinez who had a little bit of boxing skill, even though he still fits that profile, he was able to put him on his ass. Lomachenko fought someone who was a stylistic nightmare for him, not a tailor-made guy, and he still shined. You know what I mean? And Mikey fights guys that are tailor-made for him and still struggles.
That's a good point.
Yeah. By the way, I'm seeing in comments, people saying that, well, Mayweather never got knocked down like Lomachenko did. So they're already making all this.
Mayweather never fought anybody that was healthy in that size, that had a 10, 12-pound weight advantage on him. He never fought anybody like that.
Yeah, because let's be real, though, whenever Mayweather got hurt, it's hard to follow up with punches when the guy's elbowing you in the face. Sticking his arms up and swiping your eyes with elbows and fucking.
When Mayweather,
for dear life.
Look, here's a perfect comparison. When Mayweather fought the #1 lightweight at the time, arguably in his first fight, I believe, at the weight, not even his first fight, but first significant fight, he arguably lost that fight. So what are we comparing this to? You know what I mean? Castillo, in a lot of people's eyes, gave Mayweather the business.
All the great fighters in history have been put on their ass. I think it might have been precisely the day said if you haven't been beat in boxing, you're not fighting the right people, and he's got a point there. I'm not saying Mayweather hasn't got a good resume, but there's a story behind this resume. It's just not in black and white with Mayweather's resume. You have to dig deep into the facts and look at all the advantages he's had. Go on.
Yeah, just a sec. And Jose Luis Castillo was supposed to be a cherry pick. So that's that.
Yeah.
So
he arguably lost that fight.
He lost that for me as well. He lost that for me as well.
The only fight you could compare size-wise was when he fought Chico Corrales, but Chico was fucking drained, man. Like, let's keep it real. Chico was drained in that fight.
Biggest 130-pounder I've ever seen.
You know what I mean? Credit to him. He did a job on him, don't get me wrong, but that's the only fight where you could really compare where Mayweather fought someone that was bigger, and there's still an asterisk by that.
I think Floyd's got a very good chin. I'll give him that. He's been hit with some good shots. He's got a good chin. His chin does hold it. But this, like I said, most of the greats have been dropped or knocked out. It's just not. I mean, it's the reason Floyd doesn't get dropped because he's not opening up any gaps because he's so fucking negative. He's throwing hardly any punches, so he's not leaving any gaps.
The reason why he doesn't get dropped is because he never drops anybody. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. This is another thing. Sorry, Bucho, but I'm just getting a little hype over here. Look, I said this 2-3 years ago already. Lomachenko is a knockout artist, and I got criticized for it. The guy punches hard when it comes down to championship rounds, when it comes down to, when he's got you figured out. And if you look at his record, what does he have? Like 8 stoppages in a row? When we and against who? 4 title holders and one guy that had a minor title. You know what I mean? Like, who else is doing it like that? And then while moving up in weight, you know what I mean? So the guy, we could sit here and talk about who's a threat to him, and that's all fine and good, and we're probably right? All these guys could be a potential threat. But the first thing that people need to understand is that Lomachenko is a threat to everybody else more so than the other way around.
That's a good point, man. I mean, listen, those fucking, like you said, 8 stoppages in a row, and I know people are gonna say, well, Linares, he was stopped he's been stopped before, but the way that he did it with that, with a body shot, I mean, who else can do that right now, barring about one shot knockout to the chin? I mean, when Lomachenko was outboxing him and then he stops him with a body shot, like 8 stoppages in a row. Think about that. Walters, Regan, Sosa, Mariaga. What was that?
Go on, Vasyl.
No, I was done.
I said, right. Go on, bro. All right.
Yeah, Linares
is a tough guy. Linares, Linares, a guy is going to quit to not get up from that body shot. just shows you that Lomachenko must have a bit of spite behind his punches because he's a much bigger guy. I was in quite a lot of wars, and he.
All right, Stu, you're breaking up a little bit.
You're cutting off, man.
Lomachenko.
Yeah, you cut off there for a large
Can you
chunk.
hear me now?
You're cutting off, man.
Mandatory 8 count. Come on,
I think
Stu.
it's
Yeah, we need to do that. Count from 1 to 8. Come on, we need you to count from 1 to 8.
To be fair, my internet has been holding up late with you guys. It's not let us down, so
yeah, you've been putting up like Linares. You made a comeback, but now it's you made a comeback, but now your second win is starting to falter, and you're starting to no, I think now you're back. Count to 1 to 8, please. Just 1 to 8. So we gotta test your connection.
Doesn't work for shit, man. Anyway, let's continue.
1, 2, 3, 4.
But now you failed. Sorry, man. By the way, what's this photograph?
I didn't even count. Bucho interrupted me.
I know. Yeah, Bucho. That's what Bucho does, man. All right, so Bucho, you sent me this picture here. What are we looking at exactly? I mean, on that. No, hold on a second. Let me put it up. There you go.
Comparison between Floyd Mayweather his first 12 fights and Lomachenko's first 12 fights. So his opponent record for the combined record for Floyd opponents is 96 wins, 84 losses. And Lomachenko, his opponent's combined record is 352 wins, 30 losses.
That's a pretty good goddamn record.
There's no comparison.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Mayweather went on to have a good career, but we're talking about what makes Lomachenko special, which is precisely that his first 12 fights.
What if you flip that record, like sort of like the last 15 opponents or 12 opponents?
Well, let's look at that. Mayweather's last opponent was, I mean, let's not count McGregor, but let's go Berto. Come on, man. Pacquiao, Maidana. No, Berto, Pacquiao, Maidana 2 times, right? Before the Maidana fight, which one was it? Was it Canelo?
Guerrero, no? I don't remember.
McGregor was undefeated. You got to give him credit for that.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but like right there, last 4 fights, pretty good. But then again, if you look at the Pacquiao fight, which is possibly his best opponent ever, it's some people here think that he didn't look as good as some people make him out to be. So I don't know. Listen, Mayweather is definitely a Hall of Famer. Let's not make it out to be as if compared to Lomachenko his career sucks. Mayweather has a better career because it's been longer. But we're not talking about who has a better. We're talking about who has the better first 12 fights, and it's no contest when it comes to the first 12 fights. Lomachenko, absolutely, man. I mean, listen, he just took out a guy Linares who came onto the scene in 2007 when he beat what's his name, Oscar Larios on HBO. 11 years ago, 11 years ago. He's been at the high level for 11 years. Lomachenko just got started, and he just stopped the guy, and he was on box on him too. So, look, Lomachenko's special. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if somebody says otherwise. Because we've all been watching.
Win a gold medal?
Was that?
Did Floyd Mayweather win a gold medal?
No, but to his credit, he did.
I think
he didn't get robbed. No, he didn't get robbed.
He didn't get robbed.
He robbed the Cuban, actually.
Yeah.
Mayweather robbed the Cuban in those Olympics, actually.
I was watching that fight between that Bulgarian for a silver medal match, and he won fair and square, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't a situation like Roy Jones versus Pak Seo-hun in Seoul 1998. I mean, that's just a whole nother level.
Mayweather was losing to scrubs and amateurs, okay? He was. He lost to, what was that guy's name? I forget it. He's irrelevant. But he was losing to, if you go look at his record, you'll see some names on there, some guys that beat him, and you'll be like, who the fuck was that?
Yeah, FNC bot in the chat room says Floyd getting robbed is a myth.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Who, FNC bot?
Floyd didn't get robbed in that Olympics.
That's why I said That's what I said I heard, because I've not actually watched it. I mean, I can't bear to watch Floyd Mayweather as a world champion professional, so I'm definitely not going to go back and watch him as an amateur. Do you know what I mean?
I like rewatching the Mayweather judo fight and the Cotto fight. Those are my two top Mayweather fights to watch, because he people tried to, he had the first couple of tough rounds against Cotto especially, but other than that, one fight that I will never rewatch is the Guerrero fight, the Canelo fight. But look, the guy was good, man. Valdemir.
That was terrible.
That was, yeah. And he was
That's
crying.
Where he came out with dressed like a gladiator with the armor and everything.
That's when Michael
because
Jordan
he's a warrior, and then he fought like a bitch.
That's when Michael Jordan called him the most boringest fighter he's ever seen.
Yeah, Tiger Woods walked out of that fight. This is a guy, Tiger Woods.
That's true. Michael Jordan saw that fight and said, Floyd is the most boringest fighter I've ever seen. I remember that.
I don't understand these people who say that Floyd helped boxing grow and something like that. That's
he
bullshit,
didn't help
man.
Boxing grow. Grow what? What did he? How to rob fans out of their money?
Yeah.
I recognize
he's a major part. He's a major part why American boxers can't make real big money. It's a major part of why they can't make big money at the moment, because it's killed pay-per-view, like I said, Butcher. When you're charging $100, man, bring some up and get for $100. If I had to pay that, I probably wouldn't have seen a Floyd fight. I'd just watch it on YouTube. Then they pay $100 to watch Floyd Mayweather fight.
Let's be real. Manny Pacquiao made Floyd fucking relevant at welterweight. I'm not saying Floyd didn't do any work at welterweight, but if it wasn't for Pacquiao, Floyd would have never been a relevant welterweight. That's the only thing. This like rivalry supposedly that they had is the only thing that made Floyd fucking relevant.
Yeah, that was one of the factors. There were other factors, obviously. Like he was undefeated. He played that card. He's like this invincible boxer. His flashiness. I mean, that attracts certain types of people. That
but like, look,
money around and ghetto shit.
Pacquiao Marquez didn't have their trilogy. Like Floyd Marquez, nobody would have won. No one really wanted to see that fight in the first place. But the reason why it was interesting is because we kept talking about Pacquiao Floyd. So he fought Marquez. He fought Cotto. You know what I mean? He was fighting Pacquiao's opponents, and we
were comparing.
Exactly. It kept him relevant. And then he retired, and Pacquiao fucking owned that whole division when Floyd was gone and waiting for everybody to beat themselves up. And then he fought Cotto, you know what I mean? Then he fought Mosley. So give me a break.
And by the way, isn't that what's going on right now a little bit with Anthony Joshua and Wilder? Because who really wants to see Anthony Joshua fight again? I mean, he's been proving that he's not the most entertaining guy out there when he's fighting. Now that he's fighting good defensive fighters, you know what I mean? Like Takam, Joseph Parker, he's not as entertaining as Wilder, because even though Wilder looks awful before the knockouts, at least he's dropping people and knocking them out cold.
And getting dropped.
I wouldn't say he's knocking them out cold, but he is getting the stoppage. But I can see what you're talking about, because he looks like he's about to get knocked out in any second, but then he comes and he knocks you out. So to me, it's more entertaining.
His fights are tense.
Right, because his fights, if you're a Wilder fan, right? I don't care what they say. They know, like, oh shit, he's about to get knocked out. But then he comes out of it, and he lands one, and whether it's behind the head or on your face, he gets the knockout. So
emotional roller coaster with Wilder, you know what I mean?
That's right. It is.
He'll get put to sleep. I don't know if it's going to be Anthony Joshua, but he's going to get put to sleep. Soon as the fight goes live for whoever he has to fight,
hopefully
somebody's going to get that. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope he knocks that motherfucker out.
I think the guy that put Wilder to sleep would be Tony Bellew.
But Precise made a good point. It's a roller coaster. It's a wild ride with Wilder. It's like going out with a crazy chick. She goes nuts. She bores you with her conversations and her inane babbling. But then the sex is great. So it's almost like it's worth it to sit through the crap just to get to the great sex. That's what Wilder is. But again, Wilder is boring prior to the knockout, and Joshua, for the most part, is boring nowadays. Well, not boring. I wouldn't call him. It's not like I fall asleep watching the fights, but he's no Lennox Lewis so far. His last 3 fights, the Klitschko fight and the Dylan White.
Coincidence. No coincidence after
against Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's going to hurt him.
After Robert Kraken started getting involved in the Joshua camp, becoming quite negative and boring, he was quite excited for that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, listen, we'll have to keep an eye on it. What do you want from me?
Anything could happen in a fight, man. Listen, anything could happen, and I agree with that. They're both not that good anyway. But I just have a feeling, Anthony, it's going to end bad for Wilder versus Joshua.
And by the way, Boxing Style in the chat room says Wilder is the new Ali. Yeah, he's already there, man. He's a crusader.
Saddam Ali?
I think he's better than Ali.
Yeah, he's Saddam Ali.
That's what I meant, Saddam Ali.
Saddam Ali.
I think he's better, though.
By the way, to everybody listening, don't forget to make a donation tip every once in a while. Small donation tip on the super chat, $1 or $2. That's all you need. That's all we need. Really helps us out. So keep an eye out for that if you can. Now, listen, speaking of the heavyweights, I wanted to get to this during the week, but it never came up. But Joey Joyce, who was recently got a win last Saturday, he says he's willing to fight Jarrell Miller right now. He says he's willing to go to the USA for that fight. Now, Baby Miller replied and he said, quote, "I can see David Haye is teaching you well, trying to get big fights without actually earning them. You're looking like a brown-skinned lurch from the Addams Family."
Oh, shit.
And he says, "Get 10 fights first." He says, "Get 10 fights first. You're not Vasyl Lomachenko. You're another English muffin." So what do you guys think? But is this a good move for Joey Joyce? Because he does have to move fast, right? He's 32 years old, I think, already. So he needs to move fast, man.
Is he that old? He's 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
He's not old, guys. The guy's not old.
Well,
no,
for
I'm just
boxing,
saying, for a guy who's had like 3 or 4 fights, he's 32. I'm like, that's.
Yeah, no, I mean,
heavyweight doesn't
sound good, but
yeah.
come on, he could fight into his, till he's 40. The guy doesn't have any mileage on him, basically, is what I'm saying. So we'll see.
Yeah, but
maybe he feels he's ready for guys like Jarrell Miller.
Look, if Joshua could get to title contention in, what was it, 13 fights, 14, 15 fights, whatever it was, why can't somebody, the most decorated British amateur boxer, with a shit ton of amateur experience, why can't he do the same? You know what I mean? Not to say that he'll win, but why can't he get to that level?
Yeah, they're definitely quick tracking him, aren't they? I mean, let's be real. The guy has to get a move on. Like you said, I know he's not old for a heavyweight because heavyweights can go on to their 40 if they keep fit. But you got to, like I said the other day, in a boxing career, it's a small window where you have to take the opportunity when you're in your peak. And I think he's just, for the fast tracking him, mate. He can't be hanging around fighting bums. He's got to. Gerald Miller is a quick route to the heavyweight title. If Joyce can pull this off and do it in good fashion, then he's a contender for a title. Because Gerald Miller right now he's quite high in the rankings in a few of them. So he's just fast tracking himself up to the rankings. If he pulls it off, then fair play to him.
Boxing would be an amazing sport if everybody had the attitude of Joe Joyce. You know what I mean? There'd be all kinds of great fights all the time. And so what? People lose, people win. Whenever somebody loses, there's always a winner. So I don't see what the big deal is. Make the fight.
Yeah, there you go. Make the fucking fight. And somebody said in the chat room, I can't see the comment anymore, but they said it's Mr. Cox. He says he's a heavyweight, 32 or 31 is not that old. And it's true. I mean, the heavyweights tend to have a longer shelf life. But then again, it's better if you have power.
Bigger men do.
Yeah.
Bigger men do. Men who are naturally just, that size, they tend to get stronger as they get older, Maybe the tip-off point, like where a man slows down, a normal-sized man slows down in his 40s, he's still, he's got a little extra in him.
I think it comes down to you know, for example, being at flyweight. So you know, those guys depend on speed and combination punching
Right.
very
Yep.
substantially, right? And you lose that as you age. I think the speed is the first physical quality that you lose as you age. So I think that's that.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I think Joe Joyce, he's the sort of guy, he just works constantly. I know he's horrible to watch. He's robotic, telegraphic, but he's effective. I've noticed one thing with Gerald Miller. He has stamina. He throws a lot of punches himself, and he can quite like. I don't think he's a massive puncher, to be honest with you. Joe Joyce looks like he's quite strong. I think Joe Joyce is the sort of guy. He's not going to stop you with one shot, but he's just going to snatch your heart from you for pure work rate.
It's a great fight, man. They're just
I think
gonna
he has
clash. They fight the same way. They come forward and throw a shit ton of punches.
Yeah.
Give it to me. You know what I mean?
And it's interesting that so far right now the heavyweight division we have quite a skill set right now. I mean, you got Huey Fury, who fights a lot like Tyson Fury. Both guys are very good defensively for big guys. Joey Joyce is also very good defensively. Joseph Parker, he's good. So I mean, these guys, these heavyweights are good defenders, man. Takam as well. It's not all just stand up.
Mute the mic. I can't hear you, BD.
Was that?
I can't hear you. The noise in the background from Free Pete. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, is he there? Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah.
Hello. No, I'm here.
Oh, right. All right. Yeah, Jimmy, please remind.
Yeah, I did have mute. I just unmuted. I thought, unless I'm doing this wrong, I apologize.
Don't worry about it.
Sorry about that. All right, what now? It's my icon or whatever my pitch is supposed to be. There's a. Wait, is this it?
We just see a monolith, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Oh, now it's black. By the way, Jimmy, we were talking about the heavyweights right now, but just really quickly, what are your thoughts on Lomachenko's fight last night against Linares?
Hello. All right, brother. Sorry about that. I got to figure it out now. Sorry, guys. I got to stop smoking before I call. Hey, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Let me ask you guys. I personally don't think he was probably more mad at himself than he was hurt. Like I thought he looked, when he got up, his eyes were clear. A lot of people are trying to say he was rocked. I think he was off balance. I didn't catch the beginning. Were you guys discussing that? I just curious what you guys thought on that. Did you think he was hurt, or do you think it was more balance? Like his feet were caught up?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, Jimmy. I don't think he was hurt at all. His eyes were clear. He was very frustrated with himself. It was a stupid move. He come forward square on in a straight line and got caught with a monster shot. He knew what he'd done wrong, and that wasn't a guy that's hurt. That wasn't a guy that's hurt at all. But he played it smart. He went on the back foot after that for a little while, clear his head. So no, definitely not hurt.
All right, excellent. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. No, I thought it was, but Linares. Of course, people are going to, degrade him now and try to shoot him down. But he looked, personally, I don't think, I think Teddy Atlas said after that he thinks Garcia would do better. I don't know. I think Linares, with his length and his style of fight and his sharp shooting, I think if he wasn't the one to beat him at 135, I'm hard-pressed to see anybody beating him at 135. Although he's pushing his luck at 135, I think he should be 130.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we were talking about. Oh, Doom just subscribed. Shout out to Doom for subscribing. Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, that's what we were talking about. And Stu, I think it was Stu who said that as well. I think we all agreed that definitely Linares was the best lightweight at the moment. And, Lomachenko just took him out. So we're hard-pressed to find somebody that's going to be able to give him as tough a fight. But then again, Jimmy, I don't know if you remember, but when Roy Jones beat John Ruiz, say what you want about Roy Jones, back in the day, after he beat John Ruiz, people thought, well, who's gonna beat him? I mean, Girov, Tarver, James Toney. I mean, it seemed like he was gonna be unbeatable, and then Antonio Tarver came along and just schooled him in the second fight when he knocked him out. Who's gonna be Vasyl Lomachenko's Tarver? Is there anybody there that can Mikey Garcia be that guy?
Well, I personally think that knockdown, honestly, just like Salido, that knockdown was probably the best thing to happen to his career. Because you can't remember, at the end of the day, we're all human. Just like fighters, they have arguments and fucking it's the same bullshit we deal with. They just do it under a microscope of everybody watching. But it's hard not to become fully yourself. It's hard not to read your own press when you have everybody throwing accolades at you all the time, and you're starting to make guys quit. Even no matter how hard his father tried to keep him grounded and this, that, it's hard not to become fully yourself, like I said. So I think, honestly, that knockdown was like the best thing to happen. It was like, good. Now you see what can happen, dude. If you ever stop doing what you work so hard to be good at and you try to be average, and like Stu just said, walked in straight with this. I mean, that was crazy. It's just like he walked straight in. And, you know, and so it was just like a momentary lapse, but it was excellent because the first thing he said during the interview was he brought up that. And in the press conference, he brought it up. You know, I don't know if his father's got him locked in a closet today with pit bulls or something. But,
yeah, like Vasyl Giro. Like Vasyl Giro, right?
I think it was a good thing for his career going forward.
Yeah, man. I mean, let me tell you something. Over there in the Ukraine, I don't know what the fuck. It's like, you know, I know Girov was from Kazakhstan, but they probably have the same practices over there. I mean,
you know what the Ukraine is? It's a sitting duck.
Well, I don't agree. I don't think the Ukraine's a sitting duck, but they're certainly producing high quality fighters. Now, here's the thing. Anybody out there, and this is to everybody, I only started watching the fight with commentating today. Last night I watched it with no sound on. But Jimmy, please mute your mic, man, if you're gonna be silent, because there's a lot of sound there. But guys, I watched the fight with comments on, with the commentating team on. They were a little bit biased towards Lomachenko, man. I mean, I know Lomachenko is gonna be. They're aiming to make Lomachenko a little bit. You think so?
Terrible, bro.
Well, who else? Who else thinks that? Anybody?
They were terrible.
Oh, they were terrible. Yeah, I agree a little bit. But...
No, it was honestly, mate. They weren't giving Linares any sort of credit. And Lomachenko, everything he did. Oh, the great pound for pound star in Lomachenko. I mean, I'm a Lomachenko fan, and even I was cringing at the telly. I mean, this was fanboyism at its best, and this is not proper. This is not proper commentary, bro. This is not. This is fucking propaganda machine. This is what this is.
I agree.
I mean, look, guys, Lomachenko fights at ESPN, and it's obviously that commentators are not going to be not biased by default. I mean, they work for the station. And look, I know it can get over the top sometimes, but still, you should expect that. And I have nothing against Stu's words. I think he's right. He's on point, but you know, you can see that beforehand, before the fight plays out.
Absolutely. Like, they're trying to make Lomachenko. Was that recognized?
They had the fight pretty close from what I remember. ESPN.
Yeah, I don't know. How close did they have it? Because I haven't gotten to that part yet.
They had it the same as me, or 5 rounds to 4 Lomachenko?
5 rounds to 4 Lomachenko.
From what I remember, either 6-3 going into the 10th or 5-4. So I thought that I mean, maybe they're biased, but they're not biased in their scoring, you know. You know, the unofficial scorecards thing, you know.
Right. I mean, listen, I understand that, like Pavel said, ESPN, they're trying to build Lomachenko into a franchise fighter. But they could tone it down a little bit, because I agree with Stu. At some point you find yourself cringing and you go, all right, stop talking about, you know, they're talking about how Lomachenko, what a great dancer, and his father and this and that. Like, all right, could you just call the fight and stop giving us Lomachenko's biography? Like, he used to play, yeah.
It's for casuals, BDA.
Yeah, that's true. But it's still not, I still don't like it, man. I don't like it. What do you want from me?
Back in the day, they used to do that, like on HBO, and they used to do that before the fight. You know what I mean? They would have the story of the fighter, each fighter, and then they would have the fight. I remember Larry Merchant. He used to go rounds without speaking a word. He would literally go rounds without even uttering a fucking syllable. I mean, I miss that, you know.
That's true, man. Larry Merchant would be quiet, but he was living by the adage of silence is golden. So whenever he did speak, you could tell that it was calculated, but I mean, not necessarily calculated, but that he spoke when it mattered. And his comments, more often than not, were right. He could be biased himself. You know, sometimes he was a little too harsh on fighters. He was even harsh on your guy, Jimmy. He was harsh on Marvin Hagler. back in the 80s. He wasn't convinced that Hagler was good until he knocked out Tommy Hearns.
Yeah, a lot of, well, I'm sorry, Stu.
I was just going to say the British commentary is terrible now. We used to have like Barry McGuigan, fucking Harry Carpenter, and all that. We used to have some real good. Now we've got Faganagi and Frot.
I mean, what are these fucking nicknames, man? Faganagi. All right, but yeah, man, I miss. Listen, I like people in the chat room are saying these commentators. It's hard to find. Listen, I like Malignaggi when he doesn't stick to the script. I like when he starts talking boxing. I like what's Al Bernstein. I like Timothy Bradley as a commentator. But and I'm glad that the ESPN. I'm glad that they kicked Teddy Atlas off as a commentator, because this guy, he's got to be maybe the worst of them all. Because yeah, he's not biased. But who was it that told me last night during the podcast that what he did to Jeff Horn after the Pacquiao fight was despicable? Was it Stu or? No, but it's true.
Jeff Horn, you suck. You suck.
Exactly.
Congratulations, but you suck.
He's insane.
Yeah,
man.
it was me, bro. It was me, bro. I thought Teddy Atlas was absolutely disgraceful. I mean, this guy's meant to be an unbiased reporter. Whether it was a bad decision or not, don't fucking like kill the guy. The guy fought his heart out. His fucking face was busted up. Let him have his moment and then moan about it in the studio afterwards or something. But you didn't even let the guy have his moment. You're sitting there saying, you lost that fight clearly. You know, how do you feel about claiming a victory for a fight you lost? And I'm like, fucking hell, this guy.
Whoever told you that you could work with men?
I thought the HBO crew was bad, but then the ESPN guys are horrible, man. It's like just complete. I agree with Stu. What he says, just complete Lomachenko fanboying the whole time.
That's true, and in a way, it's refreshing to hear Atlas. At least if he says what he thinks. But when what you think is wrong and you're just spouting off as if you're the right guy all the time, it gets a little tired. The act from Teddy Atlas gets a little tiresome. The screaming, the yelling, the gesticulating. It's he has to dial it down just a tiny little bit. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that one.
Half the time you can't even see his face on the screen because he's fucking spat on it when he's shouting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
Was it?
Can you imagine a broadcast with him and Paulie Malignaggi? Like,
that would break the microphones, man. That would drive people
Paulie
insane.
and Jim Lampley.
Paulie and Jim Lampley.
Hey, the fucking
George Foreman.
Them two talking together would attract fucking aliens from other galaxies, man. They'd pick up the signal, wouldn't they? They'd pick up the high frequency.
Well, speaking of commentators, what about Steve Bunch? Every time he's been harsh on guys all the. Is he really drunk during the telecast, or is that just a myth?
I just think he's just born a twat, mate. To be honest with you.
He's drunk, man.
No, I don't think he drinks.
Malignaggi.
I don't think he drinks. This guy here, mate. He'll say whatever you pay him to say. I mean, he'll change his name for you. He just if you pay him the right money, he'll change. I mean, call him Shelley Bunce. I mean, he's quite happy to be called that. This guy I mean, I've heard him on Box Nation talking about this fighter. Yeah, next we're going to be talking about an up and coming, a real threat. It's going to, fight for the British title. I'm thinking, this could be a new British talent to look out for. And then when you see his record, he's like about 16-4 or something like that. So, I mean, Bunce, man. If you're signed for Box Nation, then Bunce has got you in the all-time great list. That's for sure.
In the chat, people saying Bunce is a cokehead. Bunce is just a fat, useless tosser.
Go on, Jimmy.
Yeah, go on.
Last week on the undercard of what was it? Hay and Bellevue. There's a couple of kids who went at it. That was a good little scrap. I just caught it the other day. What's the story with those guys? Who was it? I think Ward was his name. Ward. Oh my God!
You're on about? He's a gypsy, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just happened to catch the fight. I don't know anything about either, but it was a good little scrap. I thought it was the best fight of the night.
I actually missed that fight, bro. I was on the BDA talking with these dudes. I didn't even. Michael Ward, I think his name is.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad scrap.
I don't like watching him fight, to be honest with you. I think I'll take your word for it. It's a good fight, but the fights before I've seen him, he's actually nearly put me to sleep, so I've missed the main event. So I try to keep away from this guy.
Well, maybe the other guy made him fight good. You know what I mean? Like Lara Heard. Like Lara normally he's the cure for insomnia, but you can put him in against someone who makes him fight, like Heard did, or what? You know, of course, everybody was going on about that. Oh, I thought you said he was boring. So what? Because he had a fight or get killed, so all of a sudden you credit him? I don't know. That was.
This is the thing with these negative fighters, right? You have to take them to deep waters and make them fight at a pace they don't want to fight. If you let them fight at their own pace and stroll around the ring, and you know they'll pick you off and get on a points win. But you have to make them work, and then you see the real true characters come through, and we've seen it with many of these so-called slick fighters. With the Darrell, one of them, where as soon as you test them in deep waters, they're drowned in, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
By the way, I just wanted to switch up the subject a little bit. I don't know if you guys know that there's a Ring TV and Ring Magazine as well. They do a series called The Best I Faced, where they interview retired fighters, and they ask them to list who the best, from all of their opponents, who had the best jab, who had the best chain, blah, blah, blah. Mike Tyson, they asked him, they finally did one with Mike Tyson. It's up there at Ring TV. And they asked him who was the better overall fighter. And he didn't say Lennox Lewis. Spoilers before anybody does the complaints, but I'm going to spoil it for you. He said that the best overall guy wasn't Lewis, wasn't, Buster Douglas, it wasn't Holmes, it was Holyfield. And I said, reminds me of that story that I read on, I think it was on Sherdog. There was a guy who said he used to spar all these top heavyweights back in the 90s. He sparred Tua, he sparred Bo, he sparred George Foreman, Holyfield, and he said that Holyfield was the most overall rounded guy he fought, because he could box, he could fight on the inside, he was quick for a heavyweight. And I'm thinking, there you go, Tyson said Holyfield was the best he ever fought overall.
Well, full disclosure, in the original, the air biting episode, I put $100 on Holyfield. I had him going into that fight. I was the only person I know who thought Holyfield would win, because I always thought that was the secret to beat Tyson. Like you just said, time and space. His thing isn't slickness. It was just, you just can't let him control the chase. As long as you keep sticking the jab, I thought Holyfield would have. But you know what? All kidding aside, and I love Holyfield. Get me wrong. But it should be an asterisk next to his name, like Mike Maguire. Because I'll tell you, back in the 90s, I remember him when he came out of the Olympics as a light heavy. And, his physical transformation, his body took. I mean, all of a sudden, he had the traps. He looked like a fucking WWE wrestler. You know what I mean? I mean, oh, my God. And then his best friend, who he was hanging with and training with, Lee Haney. I don't know if you guys know anything about bodybuilding, but Lee Haney's a 7-time Mr. Olympia, lives in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. And that's who Holyfield was hanging with. So he had access to the best chemicals, but without a doubt, I don't even think he denies that he was saucing out. So I'd like to see him against Tyson, not on the junk. That I think would have been a different story. I don't think he would have been able to even fight.
I think Tyson was on that junk too.
I'd like to elaborate on Jimmy's story for a while. I mean, did you guys hear that he ordered some PEDs on the name of not Evander Holyfield, but Evan Fields? Yeah. Right? I mean, that is just one of the dumbest moves I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, he did it under Evander, Vanny Holy. That was his fucking name either. I mean, listen, that was what, back in mid-2000s, I believe?
What, when they fought?
No, not when they fought, but when he ordered that, he ordered a large quantity of PEDs under the name, like Pavel said, Evan Fields.
Early 2000s. Early 2000s.
Yeah, 2003, 2002, right around there. Yeah.
And by the way, I'm putting up.
I said it a few weeks ago on this podcast that the transformation of Holyfield from a cruiserweight to a heavyweight was huge. I'm surprised people don't really mention it. The guy was quite a slim build. He had a bit of muscle on him, but a decent sized cruiserweight. Well, a big cruiserweight where you thought he was going to go to heavy. He piled on pounds of muscle, if stone, if anything, stones of muscle. I mean, the transformation was huge.
Yeah, you absolutely. I put up a picture there. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'll put it up again because it's just so. I mean, it's remarkable, the transformation. In fact, I think Evander Holyfield, they used to call him. Fuck, what they used to call. There was a nickname that they had for him when he started meddling. Like Jimmy said, he was hanging around with former NFL players, nutritionists, the bodybuilder. He was one of the first who started incorporating that fully.
They used to call him Lou Ferrigno.
yeah, he looked like he looked like the Hulk in there. Now, I'm not saying he was the first to use PEDs, but he certainly was one of the first to do it, you know, to openly say that he was associating with former bodybuilders and NFL players and all that. And even Emmanuel Stewart, when he trained him for, what was it, the second bullfight or something, and he said that he was, because Emmanuel Stewart never liked it when fighters would bring in nutritionists and all that. He liked to be a very hands-on type of guy. So he said that was remarkable how Holyfield had all these people around him making him do all this modern stuff, but evidently he was still training in boxing, obviously. But man, that fucking Holyfield.
Holyfield beat Mike Tyson because Mike Tyson was done when he came out of prison. He was not the same fighter. He was done, and he was my guess is he was a big steroid user himself. Mike Tyson.
Now, I would normally, because of the aggression alone, I would say like halotestin. There's certain steroids that are just like, you know, high school wrestlers used to take them. Halotestin being the number one. It's just mainly strength and aggression. You don't want to get the bulk. So it's a good drug but it's extremely toxic to the liver. But, excuse me. One of the reasons why I think Tyson wasn't on steroids maybe early in his career, because when I met him when he was 16, this fucking dude's neck was like my thigh. He could have palmed the fucking, I'm telling you, a Volkswagen. His hands were huge. This kid was just a man-child, and he had veins bulging in his neck. And this is when he was 16, and just a poor kid fighting in the amateurs. You know, I saw the shoes he come in and sneakers he had on had holes in them. I mean, he was still like dirt poor at the time, and angry. I don't think the kid smiled the whole night. Just a chip on his shoulder. Then you hear about his childhood, fucking terrible, sad. So you can understand why. But later in life, I don't know. But I just know early on, he was already so fucking. He was just some guys are born with a higher level of testosterone levels. But I'll tell you, what's that? I'm sorry.
I just said Tyson's been on roids since a young boy, bro.
Tyson?
Holyfield beat Tyson. Right. The reason. To me, I don't know whether or not Tyson took it, or I kind of feel that Holyfield definitely did. Holyfield beat him had nothing to do with what he was taking. Mike Tyson he was done at that point.
Right.
Mike Tyson wasn't a good fighter no more when he came out of prison. He just wasn't. Now, if you have Mike Tyson before he went to prison, and this is after he lost to Buster Douglas, it would have been a more competitive fight, and it would have been something where Mike Tyson probably could have won. You know?
What's up, guys?
Hey, hello, Boxy Style. Thanks for being on, man. We're talking a little bit right now of the heavyweight, so I want to get your opinion on Lomachenko later on, all right? Because I don't want to break the flow.
No. I'm here for the heavyweights conversation.
Oh yeah, you don't like lower weight guys, right?
No, I do like Lomas. Not too low, man.
Right.
But I'm here for that heavyweight Holyfield Tyson issue.
All right.
Oh, is that boxing styles? Yeah, I gotta go. Bye.
Go.
Oh, BDA. Speaking of gotta go, I really have to go.
See, I was just kidding, boxing style. I think.
You had to do some groceries, shopping, huh?
No, I gotta go celebrate Mother's Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna come with you, bro.
Yeah, that's later on tonight for me.
Just leave Boxing Style on his own, talking to the hangar.
I'll make this show shine. So what I was gonna say, you guys are talking about Holyfield. I think that Holyfield Tyson fight was bogus. I think Tyson was killing him, and he got saved once in that fight in the 6th round, I think. or 6 or 7, I can't remember, with a couple of body shots that Tyson landed. And then the other time around, he hit him in the nuts. And then he rocked him, and then they stopped the fight after he hit him in the nuts. And you can imagine somebody like Holyfield punching you in the nuts and then going for the face, man. That was some bullshit ass. And then the second time around, Tyson was just pissed because he's headbutting, and referee ain't doing shit. It's all staged for Tyson to lose that fight. And he just was like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna bite this fool's ear. That's exactly what happened.
Right.
Tyson's a crazy motherfucker. So he's just gonna do whatever he feels like.
Yeah, that's what people
have a Tyson fanboy here.
I watched that fight, man. I watched that fight long time ago when I was a kid, and I rewatched it recently, like maybe last year, I think, or was it beginning of this year? I can't remember. And I was like, holy shit, I got this shit all wrong. I thought Holyfield actually beat him. This is like, it was a staged fight, man. It was set up for what's his name? Holyfield to beat fucking Tyson. That's all it was.
You think?
And then I
hate you on about the second one, bro. Because if I'm part of a staged fight, I'm not agreeing to someone biting my fucking ear off.
Hey man, there's a lot of money on the line, so I guess he went with it. He gave it
that sounds reasonable.
I'm confused. Are you saying that was all rigged and Holyfield was paid to get his ear bit off?
No, I'm not saying that part.
Oh, no, I'm just wondering. I'm trying to figure out. I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the first fight. I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, cool. Right.
The second fight is it just happened because he's just pissed. Tyson got pissed because the shit wasn't going his way, so he reacted the way he does.
I don't know, man.
The headbutts didn't help.
Yeah, that's true. The headbutts.
He was killing him, man. At that fight, he was destroying. He was making him look bad. Holyfield was looking like shit to me, honestly.
The steroids kicked in, and he bit his ear.
I guess so. That makes sense.
To what you just said earlier about he was a different man coming out of prison, 100% right. Absolutely 100% right. Remember last week we talked about how mental stuff carries into the ring, how if you're not in a good place. He had, you guys, any of you guys old enough to actually remember Tyson and during the heyday and all that shit when he was on TV at night and he was on ABC or, was it Katie Couric or, no, fucking Barbara Walters interviewed him and his wife. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. It was crazy. You could tell Tyson was so uncomfortable. This is when he talked about being on Zoloft or antidepressants. His wife, Robin Withers, actually, because there was so many public displays of rage, figured, I'm a celebrity, damage control, had the PR team going. So there's an interview, prime time, like millions of people are watching it, and she sat there and just belittled him. Mike talked about him in front of him like he was a fucking 4-year-old. And she was a Harvard, no, she was a Princeton graduate. Now think about that. A Princeton, I mean, she came from a Ivy League school, sorority girls, all the fucking, and there she is with this bingo. And she sat there and fucking eviscerated him on national television. And then after that, then he's dealing with, he had the original manager, then once he had Louis Farrakhan and he had the Muslims pulling at him. And then they had that $300 million home in Connecticut and he found out, I think it was something like the taxes weren't paid, and he was only there for he only went there 7 times, and they foreclosed on it, but he bought it for like $300 million. And then he found out King, his buddy, was charging him $8,000 a month for towels.
Yeah.
When they finally had an accountant sit down and open up his books and say, Mike, what the fuck's going on, dude? You've made over $300 million in the last few years, and you're almost penniless. And people were just bleeding him dry. So you got to understand, he doesn't understand finances. And we're not talking about he had to look out over $500 in a checking account. He had money in stock holdings and shit. People were just stealing from him. His family was stealing from him. His friends were stealing from him. His wife's got him on TV calling him a zipper head. It was just, I felt bad for the kid. Whether he raped that girl or not, or she was just looking for some ink, I don't know. You know what I mean? Who's to say I wasn't there? But you're right. He was by the time he got out, he was a totally changed man.
Jim,
Mike Tyson should have been dead. Think about it. You think about it. He should have, and it still might happen. you know. And if it does happen, he's still a young man. But if it wasn't for boxing, it wasn't for meeting certain people that he met, they would have killed him a long time ago.
Oh, well, look what he did to that parking lot attendant. A kid said they were leaving a nightclub, him and his wife. This is one of the things that got him on the fucking news. I guess he's leaving a nightclub, and a parking attendant recognized his wife and came over to it, and he didn't know, but it was just the way Mike perceived the way he was coming up to her. He just ran over the kid, open hand, slapped him, and I guess the kid cartwheeled like 3 times across the parking lot, and they cut him a check that night for $100,000. And fucking seriously, I guess they came back. That's how the story went. They wrote a check for $100,000 and a no disclosure, meaning you're not going to carry it on. It was all read up nice, and they wrote because right away before the kid even talked about suing, they sent someone back there. So
I'm sure that's happened to
hospitalized.
Tyson. I'm sure that's happened to Tyson a few times, and
he probably had those things printed up.
Oh yeah,
probably a stack of those no disclosures.
One time, man, I saw a video. I don't think it ever went viral. But I knew some people that worked at the Brooklyn Marriott. He beat up 2 dudes, and they showed me the video. I mean, Mike Tyson you can't hear what they're saying. It's just that the guys were fucking with him, but instead of just walking away, you understand? And these were big men. They look like thugs. I mean, typical Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx thugs. That's what they look like. And they were saying something to him. You could see there's some back and forth. And these guys were 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", around that height. The way he knocked these guys out, this is a man that has so much rage in him. He can't walk away. That's why I say he would have died had it not been for boxing and people he met. Somebody would have killed him a long time ago.
Well, I mean, he had how many arrests? 36 arrests by the time he was 13 years old. His final one, the one that Customato ended up with him, is how the story goes, he attacked a woman with a rock or a brick, a elderly woman, and stole a Social Security check.
Well, let me ask you this.
That's a piece of shit, if you ask me.
You know what I mean? That's a piece of shit. But you know what? If he was 18, I'd say that. But the only reason why maybe I'm old, I cut kids. I mean, he was a baby. He was 13 years old. You know what I mean? His mother had drug problems. He was on his own since 8. I couldn't even imagine. You know what I mean? You're on your own, and you're surrounded by violence, and then you come to find out he was being raped. That comes out later.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
You know
wait a minute.
Like,
look, hold on. Was it raped or was
this dude couldn't get worse shit happened to him, right?
Was it really? Was it? Did he get like raped, or was it just he got
raped? Straight on raped. Multiple times. Multiple times too.
When that wasn't in his autobiographies. Did that come out later afterwards or?
Well, where did I read? I read it a few times that he talked about how he was molested by I forget. I don't know. It was a neighborhood kid or someone his mother knew. Okay, molested him a bunch of times.
Molested.
I believe it because the way he exhibits, you know, his behavior is of like he tries to guys that try to like destroy you. You know, they just trying to rip your head off. There's been like, you know,
post-traumatic stress, PSD.
Yeah, something bad happened to them, without a doubt.
Yep. Now they don't have impulse control, and that rage bubbles up, and then forget about it. There's no off switch. Like the reason why we don't choke our women to death, because you know, I always think of fucking Dateline or some forensic files show I saw, but no, but because you know what I mean, because we don't want to go to prison. But when people like that, man, who suffered so much traumatic, they never saw adults as children shut it off. All they ever saw was violence, and then to have people that you trust abuse that trust. And so by the time he was 13, he hated everything. He hated the air he breathed. And he had the right to, you know what I mean? What the shit he was dealt. So you take that with that genetic freakness, that rage, and you find, and all he wanted was someone to fucking put his hand on his shoulder. Like Customato said, the first time I hugged him, he broke down and cried. I mean, you know, that's like fucking, that says a lot, you know? So, I mean, this kid just needed someone to tell him he was doing good.
The worst thing you could ever do to a kid when you're hitting them is hit him in the face. That's the worst thing you could ever do. It causes, I read up on this.
You're 100% right.
Me and my wife is more in depth with stuff than I am. But striking a child in the face when they're little, it causes not only hurt, but it causes a lot of shame. So when you hurt somebody and you shame them, it's almost like being raped. It's almost the same thing. It's like you're being raped of you being a human being, anything like that, right? So
I read the same study.
You grow up with such anger. So even if Mike Tyson wasn't physically where a man inserted in him and raped him and whatever, he more than likely was abused mentally, physically, to the point where he was raped, basically. He was raped of his humanity. And that's probably why I don't condone that shit. Don't get me wrong. I don't care what happened to you. You come after me and you hit my mother with a brick in the head, or you hit I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna try to kill that man. I don't care what happened in his life. You know.
Well, it's interesting.
Nor should you.
We're talking about
right. No, I agree 100% there, brother.
Yeah, I don't.
Nor should you. Someone comes at your family.
Yeah,
you can tell me about your fucking problems in court, because right now I'm taking your teeth out.
Yeah. You could tell me that in the grave when I shank you 7 times.
Exactly.
That's the thing about Mike Tyson.
Let's talk about boxing for a moment here. You guys are saying that after prison, Matrix is saying after Mike Tyson came out of prison, he wasn't good enough to do this. I think he was good enough to beat Mike. What's his name? Holyfield and Lennox. He was not the same prime Mike Tyson.
Who's this? I'm sorry. I want to get to know who I'm talking. Who are you now? I'm sorry. I'm Jimmy.
I'm boxing style, bro.
Boxing style. Oh, yeah. But I thought we were talking about boxing. I thought we were talking about the psyche of a fighter, what made him become the destruction he's here today.
I'm talking about I understand that shit.
It just wasn't a part of the boxing that you wanted to talk about. Let's just get that right. Okay, all right, cool. Go on. All right, go.
Okay, bro, it's all good, man. I was talking about the shit that what happened between after when Mike Tyson came out of prison. How good was he? Was he good enough to beat Holyfield? Was he good enough to beat Lennox Lewis? I think he was. But when Lennox Lewis fought him, he was already not the same after when he was right after prison.
Yeah, he was on coke.
Agreed.
He was on coke back then. He admits it.
I mean, listen. Mike Tyson is a phenom, right? Like he's the type of guy that he can get in the ring after 4 years. Remember, that was a 4-year layoff. He was in jail for 3 years. He spent 1 year going back and, or I think 1 year getting acclimated, and then after he got out of prison, so it made it 4 years. The Mike Tyson, he lost a step. And when you're fighting, you got to understand something in boxing style. When you're fighting dudes that are naturally bigger than you, you can't lose speed. You can't lose precision. You can't lose timing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You cannot make a mistake against bigger men. Bigger men would take your head off. And speed was his thing. Mike Tyson's the understanding when to dart in, right at that moment to just go in and catch you with a body shot and then go on top. He lost all of that. And when it came time to fight guys like Holyfield or especially Lewis, obviously Lewis was much later. When it came, by the time he fought Lewis, he was just basically done. That's it. He was not even. I mean, he was coming in the ring 235 at 5'11", 5'10". Okay, Mike Tyson in his prime was 5'10", 5'11", 215 to 220 pounds. It served him better being that way. You know what I'm saying? It served him better because he was a lot faster, and he was able to get his punches off a lot quicker and come in different angles, right? In his own way, like Lomachenko put it in his own way. He just had that. He had that fastness that a lot of these fighters could not time. After he came out of prison, he didn't have that. You can't name me one fight where he was as fast on his feet and his punches compared to before he went to prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, when he was not in prison, he was shit. But I was going to ask Jim about the thing. What you call it? After he lost his coach, Das Amato.
Customado.
Yeah.
Customado.
Yeah, Customado. Was that true that he wasn't the same? Because he knows.
Well, I put it this way: his Cus D'Amato and his sister, who was probably the closest thing he ever had to parents, control. Like, if there was anybody to say stop, shut up, it was him. Like, he wasn't in the locker room. And the day I saw him flipping out and trashing the locker room in Lowell when he was 16, and everybody said if Cus was here, because Cus wasn't there at the time, and he said if Cus was here, this never would have happened. He would have just fucking looked him right in the eyes and would have stopped right there. But so yes, I don't think personally he lost the one person could rein that craziness in was gone. Everybody else after that just wanted a piece of him. Mm-hmm. Kevin Rooney, fucking Teddy Atlas.
And that's why he lost to Buster Douglas.
I mean, think about it. They didn't have an ice pack, bro. They came to the fucking ring without Enswell. They used cold water in a fucking rubber glove for Enswell.
Wasn't it a condom, they said? Or was it really a glove?
It was a rubber glove.
Oh, okay. People used to say it was a
rubber
condom.
Glove.
Okay. Either way.
Yeah, it was a rubber glove, yeah.
Yeah,
because
but either way, like you're saying.
They didn't take Buster Douglas that serious that they didn't even bring Enswell. It was a joke. They didn't take him serious. He didn't take him serious. And this is a kid who just lost his mom, Buster Douglas. He had a lot to fight for. Everything aligned. But I'll tell you, one thing I always find weird, that was 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. It was weird. I'll never forget that because it was in Japan. But
yeah, can we also agree that when it comes to Mike Tyson, that the decline was gradual? It wasn't just from overnight, but it was gradual in the sense that, like you guys were saying, Cus D'Amato, right? He lost Cus D'Amato. Then everybody was dipping his hands into his pocket. Then the jail sentence. Then the Holyfield loss. By the Holyfield loss, the guy was on coke. He was listless. There was nobody guiding him. His brain, which was already busted from all his life experience, now he's frying it with cocaine. Like Recognize said, the timing is off, which he needed against bigger guys. And from then on, it was just a decline. But man, that early reign that he had when he was knocking everybody out, and even the best opponents he fought when he unified the division, the best they could really do was go 12 rounds and clinch and survive. I mean, nobody
he was
matched
a beast, man.
Yeah,
you said BDA.
Hey, can I? Any of you guys old enough? Do you remember when he won the title?
No.
Well, the reason why I say, all right. Well, what's crazy, right, is you guys know there's a Super Bowl. It's almost like a holiday here in the United States. It's almost a feeling in the air. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just when Tyson fought after he won that title. When I tell you the city would shut the fuck down, and if he fought in the summertime, he had windows open in the house. You could hear the neighborhood screaming when he landed a punch. It was crazy. He was as big as anything in pop culture at the time. Put that in perspective. Deontay Wilder. Honestly, if you walked out your house right now and asked 20 people, I bet you'd be lucky if one person knew him, right? Mm-hmm. Mike Tyson was, everywhere. I can't even put it into words, the difference from now to today. But anyway.
What a lot of people don't know about Mike Tyson is that I think it was as a condition of his parole, they put that man on so many fucking drugs, antidepressants, all kinds of shit, like cocaine, fine. But he was on all these drugs.
That's fucking
legally.
Shit.
They had to put him on all these drugs in order to sanction him, and it just got progressively worse with his outbursts. His motor skills were affected. It was like walking around and looking at everything through a haze and being a little bit drunk all the time. Like, that's what really ruined him. It's all the pharmaceuticals they pumped him full with after he got out of prison.
The thing is,
that is true. If you're on that stuff, there's no way you're going to be 100%.
The thing is, with the first fight with Lennox Lewis, the first round, he did really, really good. After that first round, it's like he just slowed down. Do you mean? I don't know what happened to him in the second round, bro. He was just different. And then he got finished.
Do you mean
Lennox Lewis saw it.
Are you talking about Lewis or Holyfield? The Holyfield fight?
Lewis versus Tyson.
Okay, Lewis versus Tyson.
The first round, he just like rocked Lennox Lewis. And then afterwards, it was like he just slowed down. Everything just went. Like it was like the same. It was almost the same thing as Larry Holmes versus Tyson. But Larry Holmes,
Lewis felt like a bitch in that fight, man. He should have been disqualified with the shit that he was doing.
Yeah, that was that.
He was grabbing him. He was leaning all over him. He was grabbing him behind the head and throwing uppercuts. Like the type of shit that Lennox Lewis got away with in the ring, man, was disgraceful. Same goes for Klitschko, man. Same trainer. Go figure.
Well, it's
That
interesting.
wouldn't have worked on a prime Tyson. It's just that he was not the same. After that first round, you could realize, you could see it. Just physical shape wasn't the same. Just like how you guys talking about cocaine and all that stuff.
Well, he said in his autobiography, he didn't give a fuck. He said at that time he didn't care whether he won or lost. He just wanted to make them the paycheck.
Right. He wasn't fighting for legacy anymore. He was just fighting to make some money, and there was a lot of it at the time, you know.
1985 through 1989, Tyson, I'd put him up against anybody. Those 4 years when he was dialed in and he could control his rage to a certain point, and like everybody just alluded on before, the Zoloft gave him the Thorazine shuffle, and before like everybody was in his head, he was nasty. When he had his speed, and he would come up from and just lay that boom on you. I'm telling you, it was bad. It was crazy. But you guys are all just everything you made 100% correct.
Well, Jimmy, you mentioned
with the chemicals. That's you hit the nail right on the head there, brother.
Yeah, I didn't know. Precise made a good point. I didn't know about that he had to be medicated in order to be allowed to fight. That was Jesus. Imagine being a walking pharmacy and you got to step into the ring. I mean, it's insane.
And then after he started, like after he bit Holyfield, I believe, or he had some more outbursts, Nevada State Athletic Commission mandated that he had to take some more shit. So he was fucking drunk in that ring, man. He had to be on that shit in the ring.
It's insanity.
Imagine
having a good time.
Antidepressants inside the ring. How does that work? Exactly.
You stage to lose, man.
He was a physical beast, man. He was just a different breed. But again, without his timing, without certain things, against a heavyweight division that was always much bigger than him, he wasn't as effective. He wasn't as good.
You guys should watch that Holyfield versus Tyson first fight again. I was surprised what I saw.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight, man, because Holyfield, people thought he was going to get murdered. People actually, I'm not being speaking metaphorically, people actually thought he was going to die against Mike Tyson.
Right, because he had a heart condition. Remember that? Holyfield had that whole heart condition thing, and then he got knocked out by Riddick Bowe in the third fight. So, yeah, I remember a lot of people thought Tyson was going to destroy him.
He had an enlarged heart from all the fucking roids he took.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
No, he did. It was. And by the way, Gilbert the Great says, "Oh shit, it's Jimmy from Jimmy's Corner who also appears on the Leave It in the Ring podcast. It's the one and only." Right here. We got a good fucking. Let me tell you something. I gotta reiterate. We have a very good lineup here. I mean, of knowledgeable posters, man. We got Recognized. We got Precise, Vasyl, Boxing Style. Right now we got Jimmy's Corner. We're missing Reverse Lee and Apology Man, and Cachinello was here.
What's Jimmy's channel? I'm sorry, BDA, because I wanna be able to. If I don't know if he does videos, I don't know.
It's just Twitter, right?
Yeah, just Twitter. I'm new. I don't even have Facebook, brother. I'm fucking archaic, kid. I got into Twitter because I was sick. I ended up with something, so I was kind of bedridden for a while. So my girl was like, I'm going to kill you if you don't fucking find something else to do. So that's how it all started.
And by the way,
I got to set all that stuff up. Yes, sir. Under 3-Piece Boxing, Jimmy D. Marino.
Jimmy D. Marino. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You got any vids?
What?
I'm
sorry, what's that?
Jim, you got any vids? Like videos?
No. Any video I have is with my ex-wife. Any of my videos from my past? No, it is. It's an ugly story. 2005, I got divorced and I fucked up. I got a big head and I was an idiot and I don't want to even, that's talk about not boxing related. But anyways, she ended up with everything. And I didn't deserve it. I walked away. I no detest voice and she took everything. The house, everything, what was in it. I should give it back if I asked, but I'm afraid to.
Yeah. But by the way, Jimmy, we just gotta clarify this podcast. It is about boxing, but sometimes it takes a 180-degree turn, and we just start talking nonsense. Like that time you listened where we're talking about sexual practices and all that. That's sometimes how it goes. I mean, we try not to force it.
That was awesome.
we try not to force it, you know. It has to take an organic turn, otherwise it just sounds too hacky. But yeah, that's what I mean. If you have something to say that's not boxing related, don't worry about it. Like, just say it, and if it's interesting, it's gonna stick, you know.
All right. But hey, can I tell you guys something too? Listen, I relate something to Linares. Unfortunately, one of the parts of being Micky Ward's buddy, growing up with him, and if you were into boxing and you were his size, you spot him. And I'll tell you, I can tell you right now what that liver shot feels like. And when Linares couldn't get up, he ain't playing. If you get caught on the liver when you're breathing out, it's nothing. You can't describe it. It's honestly, you get like a split second. You know what's going to happen. You're afraid to let that breath out because you know when you do, your legs just drop. He actually went down pretty quick, but you can't catch it. You can't even describe it. You feel like you were blown in half. Like you have someone could come over and shoot you in the leg. You wouldn't feel it. That numb. It's crazy.
Your mind is awake.
Yeah, and you're totally awake, and you're listening to everybody laugh. Because I'd be in the fucking basement right now. My boys are saying, "Oh, dude," and you're like, and you're fucking making this wheezing face. And I'd have a flak jacket on too. That prick. I'd have a flak jacket on and fucking 14-ounce mittens, and I'd know it's coming because he'd get me in the corner. He'd tap me in my head. He'd come up, nice couple little taps to your fucking head, and then bang, he would just drop it in. And if he got your elbow up, forget about it. Your cop face. And all your friends are fucking pointing at you and laughing. it's ugly.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. It's interesting.
He set it up too, man. I like the way he set it up.
Let me tell you, I don't know if we can play it, man, but there's a video out there where he's wearing some gloves and they have a sensor on them, and they're measuring how hard he hits, and he's just wailing at the bag with left hooks to the body. That's all he's throwing. And I think I've watched that video. I think it has about 1,000 views or something. They must all be from me because I've watched the video 1,000 times because I'm trying to get down the technique of how he drives that left hook to the body through. I mean, it really is. And he's in his 40s when he's doing that video. So he still has that left hook. It's never going to go away, man, until he's in his 80s maybe.
This is Mike Tyson you're talking about, right?
Am I talking about Micky Ward?
Micky Ward.
Oh, Mickey.
Oh, shit. People dropped out of the call. Bucho, can you tell? Oh, fuck, Bucho's not there.
I wonder if Micky Ward is connected to Andre Ward.
Well, hold on a second.
Same last name, right?
Irish father.
Yeah, maybe. Bastard son.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everybody to come back here. But yeah, Micky Ward, Andrew Ward. No, oh yeah, maybe. Well, it's a common name. It's a common Irish name. Okay, we got people back.
I'm back.
All right, who else?
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
No, it's like I said. It happens every 2 hours or sometimes every 20 minutes. People just. I think it's the hangout. It pushes certain people out for some reason. It's always precise. It's always boxing. No, boxing style is actually always there. It pushes a certain amount of people out. I don't know why, but you can come in. There's no problem.
Yeah, but just what you were saying, yeah, Mickey's still in unbelievable shape. I saw him a few weeks ago, still in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
Always kept himself in good shape. But yeah, no, he could hit, and he would it's all in the hips. Mickey's thing was he'd keep his elbow as close to him as, you know what I mean? He wouldn't change his stance. So say if you got you're looking to the top of your eyes, you got your hands up around your chin, and he would just drop that left knee down and just dig it. It would always throw from the hip because it was Hagler who would tell him. He would tell all of us, he'd hit the bag and he's like, listen, you want to keep, when you're hitting the body, you keep that elbow to your body as long as you can until he said 6-inch punch. That was what he'd always say. If he said, my best punch is my elbow's not 6 inches from my body when I make contact.
And Jimmy,
yes.
Yeah. I just like to point out that one trait that I've seen that is common in strong left hook to the body punchers is that when they throw their elbow, they throw their elbow to the body, the elbow doesn't extend, the angle does not open, the elbow closes as the elbow comes to the body. And I've seen that in Timothy Bradley a lot of times. Dude has a left hook, but it's not that strong, it's not that strong that you can that he can dig in because his elbow closes as he comes to the body. So yeah,
excellent point. Yep.
Hey, who's a good body puncher?
I'll take a shot to the head any day. I'd much rather take a shot. I swear to God, because it's either going to knock you out, which you don't know about until you wake up, but that body thing, like you said, your head's clear and you just want to die. It's a terrible feeling. It's actually scary. You don't know if you're going to get your legs back, but it happened to me a few times. But Mickey and I he wasn't teeing off on me either. I just want you to know he wasn't the type of dude. In fact, every now and then, if a real fighter, somebody was fighting in the gloves consistently, would come down to the basement, and if they got a little carried away with one of us, that was one thing Mickey was always good for. We're doing prison rules. Okay. And always come in and take the mitts over. Because that was Mickey's thing. He was just a natural fighter, whether he was being paid or not, he was going to fight. So
it's interesting because he looks like a level-headed guy, but it's just if he gets into that. If he
very
gets
nice
into
kid, but I'll tell you, the few times I seen him go in the street, were nothing pretty.
Yeah, I remember you told us. I remember you told us that story, man.
He took out. We were. If you want to hear a quick story about Mickey, we were at the drive-in. That's how long ago. Drive-ins out at the time. So we're at the drive-in. This kid, God rest his soul, Kiki Rudy, another little boxer. He was like 5'4". He kicked a can, and it was at the time there was the Barons. It was a motorcycle club called the Barons. It was about 20 of them, and a can went by one of their bikes. So of course the fucking biker got up through the can at Kiki, and Kiki, when I tell you he's 5'5", I mean he was the size of a fucking fire plug, but he was crazy. Where the fuck you want to go? So here it goes. So we broke it up, and then at the time the owner of Harley-Davidson, this guy was like 6'4", this monster of a dude, fucking threw a rock. So Mickey comes out and he met up with him. Like there's all the bikers on one side, we're behind Mickey. Mickey's like, dude, you throw another rock, you're gonna regret it. And the guy leaned back to throw a punch. And I'll tell you, before I even blinked, it was just three-pieced him. Fucking one shot to the fucking head and two to the body. Right? The dude did this crazy fucking Bambi legs. And then every time he went to talk, he spit a chiclet. Another tooth would come out of his mouth. From one shot to the face and two to the body. Done. It was done. So, and this guy was fucking 3 times Mickey's size. Now we were only we're probably 19 then when he did that. So that was just when he turned pro. So you can imagine how he was hitting when he was 34. Wow. Yeah. Amazing, fucking. It was only a few times on the street, but when he fought on the street, it was nasty because he was a fucking champion wrestler in high school too. So people didn't realize that. Oh, I'm gonna tie that little prick up. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. You don't mess with those Irish pricks, man. Will fuck you up.
No.
And it's interesting because you talk about that body shot. And one of the things that always surprises me rewatching that legendary Gatti versus Ward fight, the first one, is how Gatti was able to not only make it out of the round, because there was like 2 minutes left in that fucking 9th round, but he was able to actually finish strong in the 10th round. I mean, that's just a testament to Gatti's heart and his.
That fight should have been stopped right there.
Yeah, it was nuts. Exactly. That fight would have never went on today.
Today it would have been stopped, man.
Jim Ripley was yelling, "You can stop it, Frank. You can stop it anytime." Yeah. It was insane. I was 2 rows by Mickey's mom, and we were up by the 2nd round, standing on the seats. And now by the 9th round, dude, I ain't gonna lie, I had tears coming down my face. I was wiping tears out of my eyes. I couldn't believe it because it was somebody I loved, and I knew what he was putting himself through. You know what I mean? It's different when you really care about him. And then see him take those shots. And by the 3rd fight, I didn't want them to fight anymore because I grew to care about Gotti. I went into Gotti, won. Fuck that fucking punk. Bop, bop, you know what I mean? That attitude. And by the time I saw him that night at the hospital, I was just like, my God, dude. I was hugging him and shit. Just wow. I couldn't believe that body shot, like you said. He had no business getting up from that. I could not. Mickey said it too. Mickey's like, I caught him as good as I've ever caught anybody. That's why I called him. And then what did the Toro after started calling Mickey Jason from Friday or Michael from Halloween because you can't kill the kid.
Yeah, that's insanity, man. Those guys were. Yeah, it was the stars aligned in boxing for that fight. That those 2 guys were fighting at the same time, and it's interesting because Micky Ward, it was only late in his career that he started getting the shots to fight on HBO and all that. For the most part, it was Tuesday night fights and the ESPN Friday night fights. That's where he was. That's where he was at, and I remember watching. Was that?
I'm sorry.
No, I remember watching the Ward versus Emmanuel Burton fight, or AKA Emmanuel Augustus, and I remember I watched that fight and I said, "Man, him and Arturo Gatti would make for a hell of a fight." But if you remember, back in those days, Gatti was he was still building his comeback because a lot of people weren't sure if he was gonna continue fighting. And so we didn't know if Ward was going to fight Gatti, but when that fight was finally announced, by the way, how much better would Gatti Ward have been had Gatti been the version from the 90s that didn't really box all that much? He just wanted to stand and trade. Would that have been a better fight, or is that hard to tell?
A lot of people, we talked about that. I think it was better then because he learned the different styles. That's how he was able to win the set, because he knew there was nobody at 140 pounds who could stand toe to toe with Mickey, because you'd have to pretty much kill him. I mean, he just had a cement head and he could take a fucking beating. And his conditioning, like, he learned another thing he learned from Hagler. That was Hagler's thing. You might be bigger, you might be stronger, you might be quicker, but you are not going to be in better shape. You're not going to win the war of attrition. And he pounded that. Mickey and my grandfather, everybody pounded, and he knew that. And so every day, I don't give a fuck if he was out getting hammered the night before, 5 a.m, he's on the treadmill on full blast running backwards. You know what I mean? That's just how he was. He knew it was all about conditioning. Because it comes down to this: when you're sucking air, when you can't breathe, you don't have oxygen in your blood. That's why drunks get banged out so easy. Because they don't have, they don't have an ability to carry oxygen. So when you're sucking air, you can get knocked out easy. So that's why, you know what I mean? But so I think, to answer your question, a long story, yes, I think that was best right then in 2001 because of what they both went through. Because remember, Mickey lost 5 fights in a row when his hand was breaking.
Jim, you said he was running backwards. Yes. Backwards on the treadmill?
Yeah, he would. It's crazy. Yeah, running. Yep, backwards. He would run first frontwards, get a good sweat going. And he would just, not on an incline or decline, but yeah, he would run backwards, top speed. It was crazy. Yeah, frontwards and backwards at the gym.
Running backwards at top speed, man, that's a fucking great workout. I'm telling you right now.
He would do it for like bursts of like 3 minutes.
I'm not joking around. I never actually trained on it. Like 3 minutes backwards.
Yeah.
But that's what you're supposed to do when you're out jogging too. You're supposed to run backwards. You're supposed to squat and try to run at the same time. You're supposed to mix it up, because when you're boxing, you're not going forward all the time. You know what I mean? It's like you're supposed to run side to side, squat, run backwards. It's great to get your mind acclimated to that boxing.
He was big on hills. He'd go up to Shed Park and run the hills, do sprints up the hill. That's the most,
Well, one of the things that I loved when you talked about Hagler, which was that you said that the guy would go on full blast every time he trained. I mean, I have tremendous respect for people that do that, because I train myself and it's fucking, when you're not, especially when you're not training for a fight or anything, it's hard to just put yourself in that mood of, all right, I'm gonna go, because most people, they think they train hard, but we don't really train to our limit. You know what I mean? Once we start feeling those lungs burn, or that that you have to get mentally acclimated to enjoy that feeling of you're sucking air and your lungs are burning and you feel like you're gonna pass out. Like you have to get used to that, because that's what's gonna happen in a boxing fight. And you're gonna have a guy punching you in the face. So tremendous respect for people who are able to push past.
I can imagine a guy like Marvin Hagler. I don't know if he still works out or not, but like for me, obviously I never made it at the pro level, but I'm so used to working out that if I don't, I'm like depressed if I don't work out.
I agree with that. Same here,
it's a chemical compound in your body. You get it like the runner's high. It's true. You release endorphins every time you push yourself. So if your body does start wanting that endorphins.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, man. Exactly what it is.
One of those guys.
100% more confident when after a nice workout, got that blood flowing, released all that negative energy. I'm ready. If I feel like I'm more ready to attack the day or whatever it is. So for these athletes, man, like Marvin Hagler, going at, every training session was the same. I wonder if a guy like him who probably doesn't train or doesn't work out nowhere near, if he's still working out, I wonder if he went through some depression stage.
Well, if you guys ever saw the gym he used to train at, when he did train, like the Petronelli's gym in Brockton, Mass, man, it was a classic shithole. I mean, they had asbestos hanging off the pipes, holes in the side of the wall. It was, you could see your breath in the winter. But he'd go up to the Catskills because he would draw himself away. He wanted no distractions. Like if he was in the midst of working out, say he went to the gym and you wanted to watch him. Like nobody was stupid enough to step in his way and say, "Hey, can you sign this?" Or you didn't even want to make eye contact. He wouldn't make eye contact anyways. He was either looking at the floor or he was looking at what he was doing. Hood up, and he was just an animal, a fucking animal. I'll tell you, I would sit there in awe. I would sit off to the side, just watch him for like an hour and a half train, just knowing to myself, say I could never do that. That's, you know what I mean? I just couldn't push myself to that extreme. And you ask yourself, like you said, what pushes them? What's that thing? Once you get all that money, it's why a lot of these guys, once they get the money, they lose that edge, that thing that's pushing them, that gets them up and goes through it all the time. And his answer for that was put himself somewhere ugly, like up in the Catskills, away from everybody, and just really focus on his training. That's what he'd have to do. That's why Big Bear, I think, is a good.
Yeah,
I think it was exactly Marvin Hagler who said that it's hard to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, waking up in silk pajamas.
Exactly, you're 100% right. That's what he did say that. Yep. That's
was
awesome,
it pajamas or sheets? I always forget. I always hear some people say it's silk sheets,
silk pajamas, something to that.
Silk
it was
underwear.
definitely silk something. Yeah.
Yeah, silk something.
Mayweather has no problems with that shit.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Well, just want to say we gotta go in a couple of minutes, so we just gotta make this quick here.
BDA, man, I'm gonna say I'm gonna check out because I gotta go meet up with the wife.
All right. Yeah, she's starting to nag at you. She's starting to call you.
Yeah,
I'm recognized
Mother's Day. What are you doing?
Oh boy.
It's all about me today.
Anyway, listen, guys. First of all, I gotta thank everybody that joined today on the Hangout. As always, I want to thank Stu Little. I want to thank Recognize the Matrix. I want to thank Precise Punch. I want to thank Pavel. I want to thank Boxing Style, Jimmy from Jimmy's Corner. Ketchnello was here earlier. Thank you for joining, guys. We're gonna put the links to your stuff on the description. Precise as a channel, Recognize as a channel.
Peace, peoples.
All right, yeah, peace.
Hey, take care, brother. You have a good day. See ya.
See ya, guys.
All right, see you guys.
Have a good day, man.
Thanks again for being on. I'm just gonna say goodbye to everybody in the chat room and get something else. So if you guys want to drop out of the call, that's fine. Thank you again for being on. You guys are fucking great, man. I love conversations like this when it goes into a lot to talk about tonight.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
man. Say thank you for having me on. Hey, Ketchnello, is he on Twitter? I like that kid. Is he on Twitter? Does he have a Twitter account?
That's a good question. Butcher,
all right, I don't know if you happen to know.
Yeah, I'll send you his Twitter.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thanks, brother. You guys have a great day.
You too, man.
Thanks for having
me on.
Everybody
enjoy the rest of your day. And I gotta get through a couple of things here. Don't forget to check out our Patreon page. Right? Oops, that's not it. Here we are. The people have given so far get little tips, to keep us going. I want to thank everybody that's given so far, whether in the super chat or on Patreon. Small tips, generous small tips, $1 or $2 helps. Everybody pitches in a little bit and it makes a big difference. We're getting one step closer to getting that call-in show that we need, because like Bucho said, we're gonna start taking calls, but we do need to set up a service for that, and that costs money. So people would be in the Hangout, and then at the same time we would have new people calling in, and if they're crazy or something, we can just hang up on them or whatever. So that would be interesting right there. Like and subscribe the stream and the boxing channel. Don't forget to check out BDA Live, where we're trying to we keep saying we're gonna post content over there, but we don't do it right now. For everybody listening on Spreaker, don't forget that this is being streamed on YouTube. So if we're gonna edit that version so that it fits into the podcast format, but don't forget to check out Spreaker, and don't forget to check out, if you're on Spreaker, going over to the YouTube BDA. What's it called, Butcher? What's the exact it's BDA. Butcher, you still there?
YouTube? Yeah.
What's it called? BDA / or
YouTube.com/BDA Boxing, Spreaker.com/BDA Boxing.
There you go. Very fast, but I think people are gonna get it. And finally, let's give a shout out to everybody that was in the chat room. Shout out to Fam Ollie, Brandon White, Mighty Claire, John Gonzalez, the Quags. Who else was in there? German Persian, Mr. Coxey, Dino Perxio. I think Akuma's Deception was there as well. German Persian, Nino Gadji, Del Boys Boxing News, Nicola Ferrari, Robert Reed, Pamela, John Gonzalez. Who else? A lot of people, man. I can't get to you all. Alan, Michael Stell, German Persian, Mr. T, Boxing Style was in there as well. Akuma's Deception, Dr. Steel, Hammer, Glenn Rodwell. You guys know who you are. Thanks for being on. We'll see you next week. Hopefully we get to make another second Renaissance and you guys can be there. Take care, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you on the next one, folks.